With war rolling at the stug, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.
All right.
What's going on?
What up, man? Jar Openers Podcast, episode 103. In the hundreds already.
I know.
Man, time is going by fast. Right?
I don't know if it's 102 or 103.
Yeah, I had 102 on the last one, so I had to check on the... let me double check again. Yeah, 102. Okay. It's not the first time I messed up the numbers if I did, but...
No, I just went off of you because I didn't know either.
Got it right. We got a huge lineup of stuff to talk about. It's been a massive day, last couple days of news since we've been live with you guys last. We're going to get into the whole Alligator Alcatraz has been open. There's some on the ground footage, lots of controversy. We have Democrats melting down over this. We're going to get into the big, beautiful bill as the House has been deliberating this today. I don't think they've got a final vote yet, but we'll be keeping an eye out for that. And their goal is to have something done by July 4th, some type of agreement by July 4th. So, but I've also seen some folks say that they're not going to leave until they get it done. So, I wouldn't mind if they kind of battled it out over the 4th of July weekend and like missed their holiday. I just feel like they owe it to us, even though the 4th of July is probably the worst one to, it's celebrating American freedom. You know what I mean? But you know what?
You're going to get the filibustering. You're going to get people coming in with 400-page books and just reading for 24 hours straight.
Well, it's funny. The Democrats the other day said they try to filibuster by actually reading the bill, which I thought was really funny.
I did see that. Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool.
Expect them to go 20 hours or something like that.
Finally. Yeah. I saw an estimation from Grok that said it was going to take, estimated it would take about 15 to 20 hours for somebody to read it all and understand it. But I think that's really, actually probably take longer than that, but I don't know. I mean,
probably
for a human to actually pull it off and soak it all in, probably longer than that, to be honest with you, because nobody can read for 15 straight hours. Your brain gets fried after a while. At least for me, I'm audiobook guy.
Yeah.
But it's good to see you guys in chat. Got TNT, Just Me, All About the Alternative, Jay, Andrea, Lola. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but it's good to see everybody. It's hump day.
Right.
I gotta get the soundboard so I can just push the button. And I can always do it's Monday from Office Space on Mondays and the hump day from the commercial on Wednesdays.
And it would be so cool to have little custom features. I can do it with the soundboard I have now. I just I always forget to mess with it.
Yeah, I keep taking down notes. Like I want to get one that's like Trump saying you're fired, Trump saying fake news, a couple other things. You know what I mean? I think it would just be funny to be able to jump in. Right. Yeah, for sure.
I do see people asking how my daughter's doing completely okay.
Oh
we got
yeah,
home a few hours ago earlier today. Operation went well. She's on a strong concoction of different pain medications. I believe in 4 weeks we'll have a scheduled operation for her to get the stent taken out. And then once the stent is taken out, I think we have to wait another 4 weeks to schedule a follow-up ultrasound And as long as everything looks good, we should be over the hump on this kind of issue. I would imagine maybe a few other follow-ups, maybe in the coming years, as long as no problems. But everything went well, and I do appreciate everyone's well wishes. It
Yes,
does
sir.
mean a lot. We were pretty, scared of the outcome, and especially nobody likes to see their 8-month-old daughter get wheeled away into a crib and can't see her for hours on end, not knowing what's going on.
Right.
But she did well, and I do appreciate everybody for checking in. Thank you very much.
Well, praise Jesus, man. I'm glad to hear the positive report, and we'll
Amen.
continue to pray for miraculous healing, honestly. And yeah, man, thanks for that report for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I see Sam Clinton Network saying, when's Trump going to pardon the fiddler today or wait till after the 4th? I don't know. He just we also got the Diddy thing. That was kind of the least of my attention today, but we did get some articles and things that we'll kind of look into. But from what I understand, he basically passed or was acquitted of like the worst parts of the charges, the RICO and some of the other stuff. But I think it's basically like prostitution over state lines or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Apparently, it's been the most expensive prosecution for a prostitution case in like history, and so other things behind the scenes with that too. I know Viva Fry has some takes that we'll get into that has to do with James Comey's daughter being the prosecuting attorney or something like that. Like I said, we'll get into those details a little bit further later on in the show. We got big news on the we got big news on the men and women's sports front that we'll get into pertaining to Riley Gaines essentially and what her big mission has been. The 60 Minutes interview lawsuit has been settled with Donald Trump. Trump raking in an 8-figure income over this. And, I have more opinions to share about that. I think that it was basically what 60 Minutes did was election interference. But, that's, I hesitate to say that's neither here nor there. But
Right.
I don't expect anything to escalate to that type of level. We talked about the Ice Block app last show, and we got an update on that. It's a funny one that I know you guys will enjoy. And then Nancy Mace, she got on my nerve this morning, so I posted a couple things at her and got a ton of response on X and the few things that I posted, and we're gonna get into that a little bit as well.
Yeah. Did you see the terrifying photo of her? I think she posted this a day or two before the whole pajama video thing, where she was like sitting. I think it was at an office at her house, at least at a dinner table. And I mean, it was terrifying. I mean, it's the stuff that like nightmares are made out of. Almost seems like it's AI the way and it might still be, honestly. I don't even know if it's a real photo. But it was very disturbing. I mean, I'm talking like her face looks like it's twice as wide as it should be. She's got like these ripped forearms. And when I looked into it, it looked like Nancy Mace posted it herself. I wasn't sure if you had seen that. That thing was it was very disturbing.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't see that one. Maybe we'll come across it. We're gonna scroll her profile and we'll see what we can get in some of the responses.
Right.
Rather than save like the there was too many things, and you got to just see it as a whole for you to understand like my frustration. And like I said, I think a lot of people share that same frustration that I did this morning. But I'm glad it was met with I wasn't called a misogynist or some shit like that for calling her out. But anyways,
Right.
what else we got here? Oh yeah, the Pentagon has halted shipments of weapons to Ukraine. It's some weapons, right? So it's not a full-on thing. Got a bit of a theory behind that as well. And so yeah, let's get right into this Alligator Alcatraz, man. This is got a lot, even some more one-offs and a bunch of other cool stuff that we can talk about if time permits. So we might be going long. I might go long. If you need to cut out anytime, I know you got the young one in the family and all that. So feel free to dip out if you need to. But let's get into this Alligator Alcatraz story here. Let me share my screen, and we'll get her going here. All right. And what's up, Captain Willie Grimm, Sam Clinton Network? Good to see you guys. If I missed anybody else, TNT. I think I mentioned just me. Um,
I think
yeah,
so.
Jay says they stopped sending weapons because there's no more to send. Yeah, and I have a theory behind that, and we'll dig into it a little bit more. I don't want to jump the gun and uh bury the lead too much, but
Right.
oh, we're gonna
Ooh,
start
I
off
like the
here.
big ones. That's awesome.
The
This
what?
is new.
Oh
So
yeah,
I like the big ones. Yeah, the
yeah.
big cameras.
I messed with it the other day, and I was like, even though it overlaps a little bit, I like it better.
Yeah, I
But you
think it's
just
perfect.
can't really do the chat on the screen. But you know what? That's okay. It's I like it better like this. When I'm
Right.
real little, I feel like I'm being too loud for such a little box on the screen. You know what I mean?
Word. Word.
So, anyways, Donald Trump. This says today. This was yesterday. It happened. But Florida today. Donald Trump took a tour of Alligator Alcatraz, Florida's one-stop shop for staging illegal aliens for deportation, and it can stage up to 3,000 detainees currently. For efficient removal is what it is. But I believe that they're actually trying to add another 5,000 beds. But it has a 2-mile runway, and it allows federal transport, planes coming in and out and stuff like that. We got Democrats melting down in a different way. I didn't even include these, but apparently they're claiming that they're just dropping people off in the ocean and their bodies washing up on the beaches. But living in a coastal city, I haven't seen or heard anything to verify these crazy Trump deranged syndrome stories. But Alligator Alcatraz is a milestone in our effort to help the Trump administration fulfill its mandate to the American people and restore our nation's sovereignty. This is Ron DeSantis actually posted this, and I really like after how they started off kind of button heads, and DeSantis made the bad choice to try to run against Trump. That now DeSantis is like fully backing Trump with his deportation goals, and it's setting himself up to maybe be back in that running, if not for president in 2028, maybe on a vice president ticket. I don't know. I've heard, like a Rubio Vance or a JD or Rubio DeSantis or a JD DeSantis ticket, which still the jury's out on JD, but we got time to kind of worry about that stuff.
Well, the cool thing with this, and I believe it was Ron DeSantis who did this. This is something I said about a while ago, months ago, actually, which was you deputize down, right? Which was, now I was saying we should go so far as to even deputize like, sheriff department, local sheriff departments, and give them the ability to do enact deportation sequencing, and escalate people to ICE without having to go through proper channels, just to be a way to open it up. But what Ron DeSantis did was he's deputizing the state National Guard there in Florida to be immigration judges themselves. So I'm
That's
assuming
awesome.
the idea here, because Alcatraz holds like 3,000 to 5,000, so it's a lot smaller than the normal facilities. Probably just put them in there, get a National Guard to come up and say, "Oh, hey, congrats, you're deported. See ya." Boom, turn around, send them right back out.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. They can make arrests. They can pass them right over to the National Guard and just put them on the plane. Maybe that same day if they can process it fast enough. I don't know what the speed and the turnaround time is.
Right.
The numbers being thrown out there is supposed to cost like $45 million a year to maintain and stuff like that. But Florida has a surplus. As long as people keep vacationing down here, that won't be a problem at all, really. And it's supposedly being paid for from like some of the. Oh, my dog's about to spill something. Okay.
Steady.
Supposedly, we'll get into some of the cost. Actually, I don't want to speculate. We'll just get into the nitty gritty from like the exact numbers. But we got this right here from President Trump boots on the ground in Florida. This was him just getting off the plane, basically. And let's have a look. Met with a nice warm welcome, and then I think, okay. Yeah.
Nice, and the job they've done is fantastic. And this is what you need. And Ron worked beautifully with Kristi and all of the people at Homeland Security and got it done in how many days, Ron?
8 days, a new facility was up and running. So,
And is this the model going forward, Mr. President?
It can
As much
be.
as I dislike Kristi Noem, I do like the hat. I
Yeah.
like the white ones.
Yeah, the white with the gold. I used to have the white ones with the blue writing. Some dude gave it to me when I was in in line trying to see Kid Rock at the inauguration there earlier this year in DC. Some guy walked up and he cut in line. He had a whole box of hats. He did the old give a hat and cut instead of the chat and cut. Yeah. It worked. We let him cut, but then none of us. He didn't cut far enough ahead in line. He should have went up further because none of us made it in.
That's funny. Hey, give me a hat. You can go in front of me.
Yeah, he gave me and my wife one. So I was like, yeah, he actually cut behind us. So it was even better. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. But this is impressive. They put this facility together in 8 days. We got a lot of practice down here in Florida, recovery from storms and stuff like that. And a pretty efficient, well-trained, machine going on. But here, let's hear the rest of it.
We always have land so beautiful and so secure. We have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You don't have to pay them so much. But I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long. It will keep people where they're supposed to be. This is a very important thing. We're setting records at the board. We had no people come through last month. 0, no people.
That's awesome.
But we're going to keep it that way. So Ron did great, and I want to thank you.
Well, look, we thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for your leadership. The border, you did that quicker than.
And so we got some more little tidbits here. We'll just play through them real quick. They kind of sectioned it off.
This is we're offering up our National Guard and other folks in Florida to be deputized to be immigration judges. We're working with the Department of Justice for the approvals. I'm sure Pam will approve. But then you.
It's awesome, like face-to-face live reassurance that confirmation that this is going to be approved and stuff like that. Man, I love how fast they can get stuff done when you don't have radical judges out here trying to derail the entire situation, which we had one today actually come out and try to say that Trump has to resume the asylum seeking bullcrap. But you know what? I think they need to go ahead and just delete that CBP1 app from the stores. And we don't have the app anymore. So there's no more asylum.
If it was up to me, I would revoke all asylum, all sanctuary cities immediately. I would do away with that entire program. It was one of the worst things I think we've ever done as a country.
Oh, I 100% agree. And it doesn't even match like the way that we facilitate, or Biden was facilitating asylum seekers into our country, didn't even apply to the rules of asylum. You're supposed to go in like the neighboring, the next safest neighboring country. And like,
right.
Ours is Mexico and Canada. So unless you're a Canadian or a Mexican, like, you've gone too far once you got here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But still, even that, I think those should be probably shut down. I don't believe it's bad enough. In those states, besides the cartels, but
Yeah, well, I mean, the city that I used to be from, Columbus, there in Ohio, was bad. There's kind of tropes, if you will. Now, I was unfamiliar with it prior to moving into the city, but once I made it in, just the stint I was there from college and then a little bit afterwards, strong refugee presence from Somalia. And what's wild is, just anecdotally, you can see the in-group preferences and the way they kind of interact. And you would know, right? You could kind of see in Ohio State, you could tell this because there's a lot of massive like parks and playgrounds in the area. And so very often, and it was actually even nearby where my now wife lives, they would come in flocks of 40, 60. Dang. And immediately take over entire soccer fields, whole parks over at Ohio State, and they wouldn't allow anyone else to play. They'd speak in their own language, and you could see that at the university. And then once I had made it, I lived in different parts of the city after that. You could see it taking place elsewhere, and there are certain regions. I believe it's the northeastern portion of Columbus. There's basically one road, and it's a decently sized road. I think it's Morse Road. You go down it, and eventually the entire area, it's all Somalian restaurants, Somalian-owned bars, Somalian-owned housing areas. Like it's like small Somalia there.
Dang.
Now
they take over the buffets and stuff like that too. I remember like crab leg night at the local buffets in Kansas City when I lived there. You couldn't get it. You couldn't get any food because there would be like it was Mexicans there, but they would be lined up waiting for them to bring out the next thing. And they would take them all, and you would never be able to get any crab legs, and they would just eat them. Oh, bro, I'm not a fan of it, but I have a friend that would go there for them. He would always be complaining. He's like, those because they're there again,
Yeah.
eating all the crab legs. They don't let you get any either. That made me wonder when you said that. Like they just,
Yeah.
like you said, they take over. They take over the parks, the swimming pools.
Yeah,
They
no,
speak
I
a
didn't have
different
any
language.
experience with it, like with restaurants at all. But there was a lot of times, like even like the year or two after I had graduated, well, I didn't graduate, I dropped out when I'd left the university. Like I would come back because a couple guys were still there, and they'd be, we play basketball, or they'd want me to play soccer because a lot of it's even open to the public. And we'd go there, and we'd have to go to Field 9 over on West Campus because every other field was taken by a large group of immigrants. And
Yeah.
secondarily, but not as prominent, would be when Asians would do it. And then Asians have a strong in group, and anyone who has been to Ohio State University will tell you there's a clique, and you ain't in it, especially for Asians. Like they treat you like an other, right? They speak in their whether it's Mandarin or whatever
Right.
other language it is. You can just
Korean or
notice it
whatever. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, all the way it
Yeah.
takes place.
Make you feel like a stranger in a faraway land in your own home. It kind of sucks. But that's why,
Right.
we need to shut down the immigration. Like, we've been calling for a moratorium on all immigration for a decade.
Right.
I think we can start there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At a minimum 5 years.
Right. You would think at least get it into like halfway through, get it to like 2030 and make the next president like make the decision to continue it or not, and forced to uphold it for the first part of their first term or something like that. But,
Yeah.
yep.
It's
So-
no, my bad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's go ahead and play the rest of this clip real quick.
I'll have a National Guard judge advocate here. Someone has a notice to appear. Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two, so they're not going to be detained hopefully for all that long. We'll have people here in this facility that can make, it's a bureaucracy. The president's got to deal with the bureaucracy. Now that Supreme Court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2 the way founders intended, but you still have bureaucracy. So we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
And DeSantis is really good when he knows what he's talking about, when he's focused. You know what I mean? He was kind of deer in the headlights during the presidential campaign, but he's on top of this one. And I love that. And it's funny, I mentioned that they're saying that it's going to cost about $45 million a year to maintain this place. And Democrats out here saying, well, 3,000 people, you divide that, it's $70,000 per person. Is it really worth that much? And DeSantis just said, man, they're going to be there for like a day or two. What is that? A couple meals? The AC is constantly going to be running. The toilets are going to be, they're like trailers that come in and out. Like, it's really not going to cost that much per person, to be honest with you. And frankly, it's well worth it. It's we got to get this done. And there's a strong call, like Stephen Miller is out here saying, any other red states that want to follow suit, reach out to the DHS. And I think DeSantis has even said he would help those governors work it out too. Yeah, DeSantis 5'5" in this tall boots.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you do have still people to this day that believe that there was infiltrators on Ron DeSantis' campaign and staff who basically gave him poisoned advice to kind of, destroy his career and the way he would have rivaled. And just given the nature of politics, it's like, I'm sure there's some level of truth to that, whether it was one person or a whole team. I'm sure there are people who are trying to be subversive. But going back to what you had said with like the money and how much it's going to cost, the most compelling argument that I've actually heard against this is actually just based on environmental concerns, not anything to do with what the Democrats are losing their mind about. Because the location is like in the Everglades, essentially.
It's like 30 miles away from Miami, and Miami is, the southern point of Florida. So it's not like the easiest accessible place, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so it's not even just like, in terms of just like where it's located or proximity, it's just because as far as I read, the Everglades are a very fragile ecosystem. And so these weren't even fears of like, oh, we're worried about, people getting eaten by alligators. It was like, if this becomes a long-term thing, it could have, ecosystem and like environmental damages to the Everglade based on like going from zero human presence to having a strong human presence in an area. Typically, more often than not, turns out that it will destroy the ecosystem in the area.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can keep the litter down, and all the human waste is going to be controlled. going in and out. There's no sewers. It's all going to be like porta potty style type of stuff. And the construction was already built. Like besides like the tents and the walls and stuff, like all the concrete was already poured and things like that. So it's kind of repurposing something that was already there. So I mean, as far as like that type of damage, it's not so much. But yeah, the human presence could definitely have an effect. But I mean, right now the Everglades are also being taken over by pythons. So not only will they have alligators to contend with, but the evasive pythons are coming in, and they go on like they hit little islands up, and they'll eat all the little rabbits on the islands and stuff, and then move on to the next one. They're pretty much decimating portions of it. So it's, you know,
I saw the outdoor boys took his sons out there to Florida recently to go help with that. Like they basically like will take you for free.
They pay you.
Go do it. Yeah,
they pay you.
Like,
If, they won't pay you to do it, but if you per python that you grab or whatever that you catch, they'll pay you for it. They do like kind of a roundup like every February for a month or something like that every year.
Yeah,
this is one of them things that I've always kind of wanted to do, but I don't want to go down there and do it by myself. I need a buddy to go.
I have so my wife's cousin, pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong if they're watching. He does this for like a living. You know, he does like the whole like rodent catching, but in Florida, right? So it's with gators, snakes, and all of that. You know, going and grabbing them out of people's yards, or just in general trying to get like some kind of trophy hunt, like get a big gator, wrestle around with it. I could never do it though. And the thing is too, like I'm not even concerned about like the ecosystem in Florida. Like I'm willing to sacrifice the Everglades if it means we get mass deportations. You know what I mean?
Right. And the Everglades are massive too, right? You know what I mean? It's a pretty big area. So I mean, there'll be something, but you know, a hurricane coming through is going to do more damage, I think, than you know what they're looking at. I think at least potentially, unless they just, I don't know, man, like. They have to start having fuel spills or something like jet fuel. It's all way out of the realm of kind of actually being feasible. We got this last little 15-second clip here of Trump and DeSantis talking there on the tarmac as he landed.
So there very well may be. I know Secretary Noem and her team have said as soon as the president departs, we'll be open to start receiving folks. And so we'll see what the tempo is. We do have the 2000 in Northeast Florida that will open very soon. So they're very.
So, yeah, they're basically saying as soon as Trump's out of there and there's not the, the safety of the president at issue, that type of security clearance, that security issue to deal with, they're going to start bringing people in. Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I got it here that in just under 2 weeks, they built 158,000 square feet of housing, fully redundant power supply with backup generators, 3 times a day hot meals, a staff village with capacity of 1,000 people, 24/7 medical facility, a pharmacy, air conditioning, indoor-outdoor rec yards, legal and clergy support, laundry, over 200 security cameras, 28,000 feet of barbed wire, and 400 plus security personnel. So it seems like they've thought of everything and they're well prepared and they're not trying to mistreat anybody, right? They're being real careful that they're not going to get caught into like some humanitarian crisis or something like that.
It is a fully aluminum.
Yeah, so I'm curious what their estimates are. What is the estimate, right? What is going to be the daily expectation of how many people are going to be deported from here? I know they say it can hold 3,000, but I highly doubt they're going to be shipping out 3,000 from that location in general. But I mean, if even this can give a solid base of 500 deportations a day minimum from this place, and then you add that to all the other efforts around the country, it's like hopefully we can begin to climb our way to what I believe is closer to, like, especially because of the slow pacing. I think it's closer to 4 or 5, 6,000 a day now is where we'd have to be to reach the 10 million in 4 years.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Wait, no, it was. I did the math recently, and I think I'm gonna have to. It'd be a guess. I used to have it memorized, but I haven't rehashed it in a couple weeks, but I think it was like Trump tried to double the efforts that they were on and was going to put them at 990,000 per year. Maybe that was per 4 years. I'll have to double check that number, but I think it looks like you're maybe doing calculator right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right here. And part of it too, one thing that caught my attention as well was Marjorie Taylor Greene also forwarded some kind of legislation or a bill regarding a census. Because she got some kind of information, and I saw it from Milo as well. I don't think they're still together, maybe they are. That there's reports that the number could be as high as 65 million, which actually goes well beyond the 40, which has already been, hush hush and whispers.
Right.
If it's at 65 million, then it's like 10 million is underneath the goal, right? It's
Yeah.
like we gotta really start pushing it, but it's hard to know because there's so much lying and deception and falsifying of records that you're never gonna have really any kind of true answer, which is probably why she wants to force that census now. So we have to get a clearer image of like what the numbers are and where the population is.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up with that? They're trying to recount the census like before they're supposed to. Is that what?
I think the reason for it was they wanted to force the census to happen now because there's a couple implications, but I believe the largest one was because that there's a lot of dispute over what the true number is of deportations. And so if it is a lot higher, like 65 million, that then determines like what level of intensity they are going to have to approach the deportations with. And so I think that's why Marjorie pushed that forward, was because if we get a census in order right now, in a couple months, we'll probably have a stronger idea of like what the actual illegal immigration number is. At least that was my understanding of the
Okay.
explanation of it.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that. If they were trying to like count it before more people came in. I didn't know. So I appreciate that. It makes more sense to me. Remind everybody to hit that like button as well. I forgot to ask you guys at the beginning. Hit that like
it's
button,
actually much
subscribe,
higher.
all that good stuff.
The calculation I just got essentially is for the pacing we would need right now to just hit 10 million with the remaining Trump administration left, it'd have to be closer to 7,000 a day.
Okay. Yeah, that needs to be ramped up. With the assistance of facilities like this, they can creep closer to this, and hopefully more states. Well, hopefully this runs well, right? This does good for like a month, and then other states are like, all right, yeah, let's get on board. I've seen other places proposed like right in the middle of nowhere, like Pennsylvania, I think was one of them. I saw a joke post that the Tiger King was offering to make a Tiger Alcatraz and surround them by tigers.
That's funny.
He
He was angry he didn't get a pardon from Trump.
Right. I think he's still trying to get it too. But it'd be funny to see. It's funny to see that Trump finally got his moat, right? He needed the alligator moat or border wall of some sort, and he finally got it. So I don't know if you remember the rumors in the first term. They were saying use the alligators or whatever.
Right.
At the border.
No, this is I did grab it from Taylor Greene, and it looks like the post I have here is from one where she got off the phone with Trump. This is her. My bill will require the U.S. Census Bureau to conduct a new census immediately upon enactment of the bill. In conducting the new census of the population, it shall require questions determining the citizenship of each individual and count U.S. citizens only. Upon completion of the census, the bill would direct states to immediately begin a redistricting of all U.S. House seats processed using only the population of U.S. citizens.
Oh, let's go.
It's to attack the Electoral College, basically, which is, these states have been gaining votes just based on overall population size. She wants to force the U.S. Census to be strictly U.S. citizens only.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's what I'm talking about. We need that. From what I understand, California has like 5 or 6 extra electoral votes. They all go to Democrats, all because of these illegals. And so I like that. Right. And the other thing is it sets the precedent like under Trump. So like when they go to do the next census, then you got to do it the same way as before, kind of without, I don't know. I guess they're changing it this time, but if they put it in a bill, then I think that would be codified law. So yeah, that's a based move. I'd like to see that done immediately. Because I believe that after Trump gets when I'm jumping forward a little bit, but it's pertinent to right now, so I'll mention it. Once Trump gets the big, beautiful bill passed, his next step is to work on election reform. And so that would go hand in hand with that. And it's one thing at a time, kind of, or whatever, with the big, beautiful bill needing to come first so that they can secure the border with the funding and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. But it looks like, I don't know, that was from like what, June 30th. So maybe we will get that, but I'm sure probably everything is going to take a backseat until all the different sections from the big, beautiful bill get pushed through.
Right. Which that needs to be deliberated. I'm not real happy with the what the Senate did to it after it got through the House, but like I said, we'll get into that in a little bit here. So now this is Trump revealing that they took FEMA money that Joe Biden had allocated to spend on luxury hotels for illegals in New York City, like the Roosevelt Hotel, to build this Alligator Alcatraz.
And it's a great honor to be deep in Florida, the Florida Everglades, to open America's newest migrant detention center. It's incredibly built, and you're seeing that yourself. That's why I said, let the press join us on our walk so they can see what's happening. It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and that's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon, this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious.
Oh, you know what? I just realized they're not giving them bug spray. So that'll be the torture, the mosquitoes. Okay.
People on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few. We're amazed at actually the number. We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City. And we used it to build this project. And Ron, it was just a little fraction of that money. The money they spent on that.
Yeah, ain't it the truth? What they're getting at some point, like $15,000 a month for being illegal, plus their room and board and their health and their food and their health care and their baby's health care and everything taken care of. I like what Lola Marble says here. At least it's a big, beautiful bill as opposed to a bill that has to be passed to read it. Yeah, thanks, Nancy Pelosi. You remember that with the Obamacare bill? You have to pass it to know what's in it. It's like that. You should be locked up in jail right there. Lock her up. Straight to jail.
Yeah, I felt like there was legislation that kind of got stunted. It was I can't remember who had proposed it, but it wasn't like the one-page bill like the Massey proposals. It was basically like I'm trying to remember the wording of it, but basically the idea was that a bill would have to be assigned a reasonable amount of discourse. So like if it was 150 pages long, that would require, before it would come to a vote, at least like a week of deliberation or something like that. I can't remember who had proposed it, but I was like, that's actually a great idea, right? Have appropriate, if the bill is 400 pages long, I shouldn't be expecting that the moment the senators read it, it's passed tomorrow. Like, get the fuck out of here. Should at least be like a week or 10 days, right? So I know that you're at least fake that you're trying to read it, right? At least put on a performance for me.
And from my perspective, it should be a felony to vote on a bill that you haven't read and understand every word of, which is why I'm a fan of the smaller 1-page, 2-3 page bills, right?
Yeah.
And these people have the time. This will be the first bill that they've gotten done in the 160 or 180 days that Trump has been president. Not a great pace. So if they could have, broke this down and voted on some of it already, I'd have been a little bit more happy with where we're at. But let's see. 15K a week, we didn't get a reach around. That's funny, Jay.
Funny.
So yeah, this is just Secretary Kristi Noem kind of reiterating what Trump just said there. The Alligator Alcatraz will be funded largely by FEMA's Shelter and Service Program, which the Biden administration used as a piggy bank to spend hundreds of millions of American taxpayer dollars to house illegal aliens, including at the Roosevelt, that served as a Trinidad base of operations and was used to shelter Laken Riley's killer. Before this program was used to house criminal illegal aliens, now it's being used to detain criminal illegal aliens while they await deportation. So I love that. That's great. And looks like there's a lot of smiling faces. They're welcome, welcome in there. And there was some protesters at the gates yesterday. I don't probably out there today too. But it's hot in southern Florida. Like I said, it's rather mosquito-y, and the gators are all over the roads and stuff like that. So you don't really want to be hanging out too much. But this is where the Democrats will, of course, they're going to bring up the Trump is throwing them in cages, right? And then we have the famous quote, "Who built those cages, Joe?" Coming from Trump back in the day. And so you have a 2022 holding facility under Joe Biden. You have people freezing, laying under foil blankets, all those things break down. You give people foil blankets in Florida, those things are going to end up in the Everglades. Some of them will for sure. They don't last very long versus the 2025 holding facility that we're seeing here. Whoa, that scared me. Sorry. Totally scared the crap out of me. Just trying to make it big, man. But you can totally see the difference. People actually have a bit of privacy. I mean, you can see through the chain link fence, but you're a little bit separated from each other. They have bunk beds, actual beds. This is all climate controlled. Much, much better, much more humane facilities than what the Democrats provided to individuals. That's for sure. Now, don't get me wrong. I expect the people here to trash the shit out of the place, and so it's not going to stay clean. But that's because the quality of individual that will be there. You know what I mean? Maybe that's one thing that DeSantis might have overlooked is they might need to hire some cleaning crews, some power washing crews or something like that. You know what I mean? To come in here and regularly clean. But I bet that I'm willing to bet they have that all accounted for as well. Once again,
it was flooding earlier today. Is it earlier today or yesterday? So I don't even know if it's like in effect right now. But also, who knows? Was that like some protester get in there and cut some lines or something? But I saw it had like mass flooding earlier.
We did have, and I'm not in southern Florida so much, but we did have like, Florida, we get like storms. It'll be sunny. We'll get a hard storm for a little bit, and then it'll be sunny again for the most part. Like we don't have a cloudy, like gloomy day all day long, like multiple days in a row, especially like getting like the Midwest when I was accustomed to back in Kansas City. But we did have like a 3 or 4 hour period where it rained pretty hard. That was one of the reasons why I was so ill prepared for the last show on Monday, was because I just went across town, I thought I had plenty of time, ended up getting stuck on the other side of town for 4 hours. A semi broke down in the middle of the highway. They had pooling of water in the highway. It just rained so hard for, a longer period of time than we're used to. So yeah, I bet if they got some of that, that's probably what it was from. I mean, we're not very high above sea level either, but
right.
But yeah, and I believe that this facility is actually able to withstand not the highest level hurricane, but I think I saw it's got some hurricane rating to it. But here's just another picture,
packet 4 for hurricane level 5 came in.
Right.
Then drop the keys down the drain. Oh, so sorry, guys.
Right. We only got one jet. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Now that's why we need other neighboring states and maybe even another one in Florida, like in the Panhandle or something like that, that they could work with as well and use. Lots of areas.
Every state should have one of these.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? Start using the prisons, which actually these are much, much nicer than the prison system, and even nicer than what some of our soldiers are accustomed to when in service and stuff like that. So I mean, these people are getting well enough treatment. It's not the Roosevelt, but like I said, once again, this is a nice, clean facility with space, mats, stuff to lay on, rather than people just being crammed in here outside under a tarp. Much, much more humane. So good job to DeSantis for putting this together like that. But let's get into here some of the Democrat responses, right? And of course, the Democrats are going to melt down. Now, this is an older video, but it says it's from 2023, but I think I only played the beginning part of it earlier. And I just want to use
democracy down.
Yeah, I just want to kick this one. Use this one to kick it into gear because we got some meltdowns coming here.
The Intercept has revealed U.S. Border Patrol agents are holding migrants in outdoor cages amidst a record-setting heat wave. On Thursday, Intercept reporter Ryan Devereaux and photographer Ash Ponders observed about 50 migrants inside a chain-link pen at the Ajo Border Patrol Station, which is about 2 hours west of Tucson. The migrants could be seen huddling in a small area where there was a bit of shade on a day when temperatures reached 114 degrees in the area. Meanwhile, the group Humane Borders says the bodies of at least 13 people have been found over the past month in the Sonoran Desert, which many migrants cross.
Anybody who knows anything about the desert in southern Arizona knows that this portion of the desert is as deadly as it gets. And as you mentioned at the top.
So let's set one up here. Let's give them some AC though, right? We'll give them some AC in Arizona this time.
Top of the show, we are right now experiencing a record-setting and deadly heat wave. So I drove out to the Ajo station with photojournalist Ash Ponders. As you said, it was 114 degrees that day. The ground was loose rock. The shade was minimal. People were crowding themselves into the shade that was available, shoulder to shoulder. And the only furniture in the pen was a set of bleachers, metal bleachers that were in direct sunlight and appeared to be scorching hot.
At least 18 people have died from heat in Phoenix this year, with 69 other cases under investigation.
So this can be our what we forgot Wednesday portion, right? This is how the Democrats in 2023 were treating these individuals as they're bringing them into the country.
We're not talking about uncomfortable heat. We're talking about deadly heat.
That's absolutely correct. And the area that we're talking about where these migrants are being held is as rugged as it gets. It's as remote as it gets. And even under normal conditions in the summer, this is a part of the desert that you absolutely do not trifle with. And under these conditions, with this heat wave, it is otherworldly. It's extraordinarily hot and extraordinarily deadly. And that desert will take your life in no time.
Okay. So this is the Democrats claiming that they know how bad it was. This is funny. The Biden okay, I didn't read the intro here. 2 years ago, the Biden administration was holding migrants in outdoor cages in the middle of the desert during a running, setting heat wave. Where was all the outrage, right? They're just reporting on it. No outrage from, there's no rioters, there's no protesters, there's no nothing. It's just anti-Trump, right? Jay, that's funny. People are talking about a heat wave while you live in Oklahoma. I heard it's been deathly hot there in the Midwest. My buddies back home are just complaining so like a lot, right? But so yeah, now
I was gonna say shout out to the Consistency for Democracy Down. I've sourced a lot of an interview that she had with Katie Baker for the Project Esther documentary. So cool at least to see that there is at least there's one principled Democrat.
Right.
We found one.
Right. All right. So now, I mean,
oh God, he's already doing the soy jack face.
I know. As soon as you see it, like the camera in the face, I'm sure it's gonna talk like a cadence of similar to like Harry Sisson. You know what it's like this. I can't even mimic it. It's just so soy. But anyways, here.
No. It's the other kid that gets me, the Chris Mavslavsky.
Yeah, there's like his best friend too.
Yeah, he sets his phone in the passenger seat and he's like, what the fuck are these Republicans doing, man? It's just not. And it's just like, dude, like I'm not.
Well, it's funny.
I would do,
it's funny because they just talk in the same like cadence and manner. It's like they practice it. It's funny.
Yeah, I know.
That's his face after his mom tells him no.
Yeah, exactly.
Calling it Alligator Alcatraz. Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope.
If you missed it, Trump is headed to a low-cost immigrant detention camp built by Ron DeSatan in the Florida Everglades. According to Triple K Caroline, quote, the only way out is via a one-way flight, and it's surrounded by dangerous wildlife. You cannot be fucking serious. Listen.
Did he say dangerous? I think he said dangerous.
He said Ron DeSatan and Triple K Caroline.
And then he said dangerous instead of dangerous.
He's directly in the Dean Withers pipeline.
Yeah, straight up framing.
Yeah, on one of the other shows that I had, which is like there's seemingly like this two-way pipeline. You either turn out like this soy jack Dean Withers, like twink type, or you turn out like a regular guy. It's like there's only two options anymore. It's just unfortunate.
Right. We were talking about that Withers dude on the last show or a couple shows back with Dark Cell, and he was whining about his little pacifier vape, right?
Right, man. Yeah. It's sad,
Shit.
man. It's cringe. That's not normal behavior, especially not for like a 23, 24-year-old male. And I think he might even be a bit younger than that. But regardless, though, that kind of homoerotic, dramatic Disney adult stuff is like, I mean, that by itself, you should get deported for being like that.
Yeah.
But it's prominent in a lot of young men.
Yeah, it's weird. It's rather soy. You know, there's this whole thing. I'm going to derail just for a minute. There's this, Tommy Loren playing the feminist saying that there's these 20, 30-year-old men that just aren't ready for relationships. Those are the guys that she's talking about. You know what I mean? These are the dudes.
These crazy guys. Yeah.
These are the dudes that she's talking about. I don't think she's talking about everybody. You know what I mean? But anyways, not to really defend her. I like her, I will say, but anyways.
No from me, dog.
I know.
I know.
Most maggots are 10-watt bulbs and 200-watt sockets. But let me see if I can make this crystal fucking clear for you. A large concentration of folks deemed undesirable by the government put in a camp with no due process. If only there were some
No, they have due process. The National Guard has been deputized as judges, bro. They can due process right there on the spot.
historical similarities there. Oh, wait. They might as well fucking write, hard work will set you free above the entrance. And oh yeah, as for the whole low cost and efficiency thing.
Everything I don't like is the Holocaust.
Right, exactly. The framing here is just so ridiculous.
$50 million to employ 1,000 people. Not a great look for the party of fiscal responsibility. So when I tell you, soulless, loathsome, maggot pieces of shit to get fucked, this is why. This is the side of history that you're supporting.
And I voted for it. And I'm all for it. So,
yeah,
you didn't shame me there, bro.
It's but the thing is people eat that stuff up. I'm sure that kid's probably got 20, 30,000 subscribers on TikTok, and
oh yeah,
I don't know.
It's a shame, it's the echo chamber that that'll get you the clicks. But that's why we do it the hard route. It'd be really easy to just go out here and say F Trump every time and get all the clicks. But we got a little bit of principle, not a little bit, but we're principled and we're trying to actually speak the truth. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Here, it's like echo chamber and actually being, wanting to be a legitimate Democrat or having any kind of real political stance. Like, to me, it's like when I see this, I just see like a bunch of people who have never been challenged or never been placed in a scenario where they've had to think about real life practical consequences. It's just all emotional. It's all arguing because it's like this thing sounds bad and can loosely, with some, fairy dust on top can be, compared to the Holocaust. And it goes back to, again, that being like the mythos of everything, which I think is even more fundamental to it, which is like the whole nationalist idea. People wanting to be, wanting to have their own nations. Like, that's what's crazy to me is like so much of this could just be resolved if men and conservatives more often were like, you know what, actually I do want America to be a country for just Americans. And better than yet, I think American is really only just really white and black Americans. Everyone else can probably get the fuck out, and it would be easy. We would have a stronger definition of what an American is, and these concepts would get across. But you have people who like, I mean, think about it, right? You have people where it's like they've had 4 generations of their fathers and grandfathers died and fought in wars and sacrificed blood and soul for the country.
Right.
But some of these guys will say that Indian, food truck vendor who just crossed the street 2 days ago is just as American as me and you. It's like, I'm sorry, like I don't buy that. And 2, it's like I think that is going to set up people to have animosity when you say those things, because clearly and obviously you're not as American as that man who's got generations here.
It's an insult to the core. You're insulting the family history and roots and everything like that. I mean, yeah. Talk about being on the wrong side of history. These guys. It's funny. I saw Tix Bomber said puke. I'm sick of hearing these. What was it? Ban all the soys from saying the term right side of history. Barf. Yeah, man. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
the fact is, these are the people that stand with, you know, abortions up to 9 months. These are the people that I mean, that says enough right there, honestly. I mean, you don't have to go into detail.
Well, that's the thing I was thinking about actually earlier today. What if women in general just came out, even like leftists, all women, right? Not only their side, but just all women in general. What if women just started saying and posting videos on TikTok and going, you know, like I really hate foreigners. Like I really wish that it was just my people in this country. All the guys who are like that immediately would be like, they'd make a new TikTok video and be like, you know what, guys, as I was thinking about it, like I think I want my country to be for my people. You know, they would do what they could to appeal to females. And so at the end of the day, it's like, if we could just convince the majority of women of these ideals, we wouldn't need to convince the men. They would just follow suit because like they want to get laid. So they'll do whatever to, you know, to appease that.
Yeah, exactly. Happy wife, happy life, right? I mean, it is a trickle down effect.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's the younger women that are less conservative than the men. Which dang it, but you know, we can get you there maybe, but not this lady.
I will be in jail
Right.
if I see somebody wearing an Alligator Alcatraz shirt or any type of merch. It is a concentration camp. And using that language matters. It is a concentration camp, and we're acting like it's an amusement park. It's disgusting. I will be in jail.
And, you know, there's a lot of people that were actually in concentration camps. They would spit in your face for saying that, lady. Like, what an insult to the people that have actually been in a concentration camp and had to eat dirt and get emaciated and watch their friends starve to death or maybe get loaded into a gas chamber or something. You know what I mean? Like, after being kidnapped from their home, their actual home, not the country that they invaded. Wrong side of history, lady. But look, she's young, so I mean, there's no convincing her. She's just gonna be a cat lady. No offense to the cat ladies.
Yeah. You know, man. Oh wow. I guess that girl doesn't want to date me. Oh, tough loss.
Right. Thanks for having his social media and posting that stuff. Now I can avoid you from the get-go and not waste a date.
Like, man, how am I going to cope with that absolute 3.5 not wanting to support concentration camps? Oh God. Oh well.
So Vince Langman posted, "We have a crier, guys. Alligator Alcatraz has broken grown men who voted for Comrade Kamala." This is a white guy for Kamala here. White guys for Harris. Let's hear what he has to say.
If this isn't where you draw your line, there is no line for you.
In the heart of the
No, the line I draw actually has a little arrow at the point at the end of it that says that's where you get sent. That's the line I draw. It points right there.
Everglades and will be informally known as Alligator Alcatraz. There is only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight. It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain.
I have no words.
But you're going to say something, aren't you?
For human dignity is out in the open. No one's trying to hide it there.
Bro, none of the Democrats are trying to hide the fact they want to trans kids and abort babies up to 9 months. What are you talking about?
And if this is something that we're going to do in the name of Christian values, then we might as well kiss Christian values goodbye.
So you're going to do the atheist thing and throw the Christian values in the Christian people's faces because you think it's going to appeal to your will. It doesn't work anymore, bro.
I mean, this is like, again, this actually like bothers me too, because less so from him, to be honest, more so from the actual like pastors who agree with him on these same kind of fronts, which is like, again, if anyone read their Bible, dude, you would understand there are very distinct and very, very specific definitions as it prescribes to foreigners being in your country, being in your nation. Obviously, it doesn't say, you know, treat them like, you know, beat the absolute crap out of them, but it uses distinct language, you know, that talks about their stay being temporary. You know, even when the Bible talks about foreigners being in your land, it talks about them as a temporary stay, not as a introducing foreigners to become a part of your nation. That's a whole entirely different concept that's not touched on at length the same way it would apply to in modern language. But it's the same thing, right? Here's a guy, he's like, I'm not a Christian, but this is what I think Christians should believe. It's like, hey, you and your ilk graped the absolute life out of Christianity. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Right.
Get out of, go back in line and try again.
Right.
This is what we voted for.
The time of projecting my goodwill onto you is over. I know who you are, and you don't get that type of grace anymore. But here, we'll let him finish talking.
If you decide to align,
and look, I don't know this guy's heart. He might be a Christian. I'll say that. I'm not judging if he is or isn't, but he's doing the Democrat thing, which is trying to use your values against you, which doesn't seem very Christian-like to me.
Alligator Alcatraz with Christian values, you have created your own heresy. Or maybe joined one that's been existent, which is called Christian nationalism. Jesus would never.
Really?
Ever.
Ever?
And the only thing stopping me from getting on a plane right now and blocking the building of that myself is my bank account. I might still do it anyway. Who knows? But this is absurd.
When you got any money in your bank account, you might want to get that grill fixed.
How many days do you think it would take from the time I asked him what a Christian value is until he answered with the correct answer?
He would
Probably
just
5.
He would
5
say,
days.
"Thou shalt not kill" or something. It's he would go to one of like the most obvious 10 commandments or something, you know.
But even that, right? It's like it's thou shalt not murder, right?
No,
It's
yeah.
like you go to like these nuances here, where it's like people probably think that, right? Thou shalt not kill, and it's like,
Sure.
I'm sorry, like, have you read the Old Testament? This is God, like every like 4 pages in the Old Testament. Hey Moses, go snipe those guys over there. Hey Moses, see that tribe over there? All of them, even the women and children. People are like, Christian values, you don't touch a hair on someone's head. It's like, bro, oh my gosh, that's part of it, man. This is part of the issue of what we're fighting.
Yes.
You have not only are there Christians who are, obviously led astray, but you also have those who aren't Christian also accepting this false definition of what these things are, and these kind of, magical concepts that have only been really upheld by people who want to subvert Christianity and take away from it. It's unfortunate, right? It's like you're fighting people that don't even exist. It's like those aren't Christian values, and whoever told you to, lied to you and lied to you for a reason.
Right, exactly. Shout out Evil Elmo and Bill. Thanks for popping in, you guys. Good to see you. Did I shout out Tix too? I saw you over in Rumble there, and then you came over to YouTube. It's good to have you, buddy. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next one. And look, you see my notifications are going up. People are still responding to my Nancy Mace stuff.
That's awesome.
I need somebody to tell me that I'd not just walk upstairs and see a clip on the news talking about Alligator Alcatraz.
Actually, lady, you just walked up the stairs and saw a clip on Alligator Alcatraz, and it is a concentration camp, just so you know.
Well, I would like to point out how ableist this intro is, because she had to just brag about how she could walk upstairs before she's going to get to the point.
Right.
And here I am thinking about all of our disabled humans that have dignity that she just destroyed in this video. We don't even need to hear any of this. This is the most bigoted woman I've ever heard of.
I know. I guarantee she doesn't have a wheelchair ramp to her house. Is her bathroom wide enough for a wheelchair to fit in there? Doubt it.
Yeah, right. Next, she's gonna.
What's that?
Go ahead. You're good.
Okay.
That they're building in the Everglades in Florida to throw immigrants into. Truly, what the fuck is happening when they're in the middle of construction?
Did she take a secondary shot just to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think she jump cut right there.
Theater kids, man.
It's funny because they're like, they're just gonna stick them in there. No, they're putting them there so that they can get them on jets out of there. And no, they're not dropping them in the ocean. Good Lord.
Mm-hmm. But tell you what, I wouldn't be complaining if they did.
But would we know if they really were?
Of a prison.
All right, here we go.
prison camp in the fucking Everglades to throw immigrants into, which by the looks of it, of what I saw on the screen, looked just like several rows of cargo shipping containers. They're building a fuck ton of shipping containers that they're going to throw human beings into.
There's no shipping containers. This is the lie. This is what they do. It's like the game of telephone, but they just come up with new stuff in their little circles, and it turns into this shipping containers. Bro, there's not one shipping container on this facility. She does look a little tweaked out too, by the way. So I don't know.
No, it was this kind of rhetoric that makes me more racist, to be quite honest with you. I must go harder
against white liberal ladies
because they're immigrants. If that wasn't already horrifying enough to throw human beings into fucking containers, Florida had to Florida and be like, you know what? I'll do you one better. Not only are we going to make this disgusting fucking prison camp, but we're going to put it right in the Everglades next to all the fucking gators and joyfully refer to it as Alligator fucking Alcatraz. No, I'm absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what.
All right, you know, fine. We'll call it Gator Gitmo instead.
Well, did we both just get lectured about how to treat human beings from a woman who probably has 3 abortions?
Right?
I mean, it's insane, dude. It's so nonsensical and incoherent at large that it is, to me, it is an ever increasing ladder that has no end in sight to trying to understand what is the morality, what is the compass, what tells you north, west, south, and east, or is it just? I mean, or is it, or are these people just NPCs? They just chip. This is the new belief. This is the thing, current thing. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And, you know, I think it kind of speaks to just, in general, just brokenness and you know, in people's kind of mind processes, incoherence.
It really does. It kind of indicates that, you know, lack of a Holy Spirit with these folks and stuff. You know, it might be the peace that some of these people are desperately searching for right there. But, you know.
Right. Well, it's I think this is like very exhibitive of, if you believe in nothing, you'll fall for anything. And I think that's kind of like the motto of the left, which is like they have no strong beliefs in anything, so they believe literally whatever, like whatever nonsensical kind of basic thing you could tell them.
Right. The moral compass, like you were saying, it just doesn't really exist. It's just whatever I'm passionate about today.
Right.
Well, we got a couple more here. This one says, how was liberal TikTok handling Alligator Alcatraz? Just as you'd expect. And a shout out for Vince for posting these. He's on top of this stuff. Not sure who he is, but I appreciate it.
Right.
If you think Alligator Alcatraz is a good thing, you're disgusting. I'm going to put it right there for you.
Well, call me disgusting then, because I like it.
You are sick.
Listen,
you think Alligator.
Listen. She's at least 50 pounds overweight. I'll tell you what's disgusting is your eating habits.
Right.
Alley is good thing, or you voted for it, you're happy about.
She also has an idol around her neck.
You are disgusting, because what they're doing is taking good people. Y'all don't even see what's taking place. Y'all don't understand what you voted for and gave power to, okay? The legal right to take representative. They could take your title away from you, call you illegal, and throw you anywhere they want, okay? You've just given them that power. And what's happening in Florida is absolutely disgusting.
I can't tell if she's like 45 with gray hair or like 20 and aged.
I'm unsure too. No idea.
It's disgusting that our news is looking at it like a good thing, and the alligators and snakes will do the work for them. That's fucking disgusting. That is disgusting, because they're going to be innocent people up in there. Do you know what it's like to live in Florida? Have you dealt with mosquitoes? I live in Florida. It fucking sucks. Do you know where the mosquitoes are the worst? In the middle of the marsh.
Well, that's a good point, because I made it. I already beat her to it.
Right. I mean, it is sad at the end of the day, but I mean, this is why I don't believe in democracy anymore, right? I don't think a lot of people should be able to vote. And what's what they don't realize, right, is like, you see these continual kind of rage out, crash out TikToks, but I think the majority of everybody who watches them and consumes them, when they get ripped on like social media, like we're watching them now, they look at them with like contempt, disdain. it's like, what is this person on, right? It's like largely do I see someone posted TikTok like this and the comments are all in agreement? It's largely like, hey, I clipped this. Everybody, let's come roast this person and make fun of them.
Right. TikTok views and views on X aren't the same.
Right.
Thunder Sooner makes a good point. There's mosquitoes all over the country. Yeah, but the ones down here in Florida, they're like flies. There's actually a couple of different kinds. There's these big ones that, man, they hit you and you like feel it. I hate them. No, but yeah, you're right. Mosquitoes all over the country, 100%.
Right. And there's been less and less anyways with the general nature of bugs have been dying for the last like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, true that.
We're in tent city. They aren't protected from the mosquitoes.
She's gonna cry.
These people are about to be fucking tortured and you're okay with it. That's fucking disgusting. That is sick, spiritual rot. I'm gonna say it louder every fucking day. I'm about to melt down. Somebody said that they like the liberal woman melting down.
No, you're not about to. You already are.
I think it's funny. Those are beastly system names. By the way, all of them. Those are labels of the beast system. I don't vote. I've never voted. But I will fucking melt down. And when I melt down, the whole world's going to feel it. And yeah, I'm about for liberty. I ain't for this fucking...
Yeah, and they always got to have like, everybody's going to notice it. When I go, everybody's going with me. Going to notice. Like, y'all just so extreme. Like, just chill.
It's, main character syndrome.
Yeah.
NPC syndrome.
Me.
Kids. Yeah.
Yep.
All of it thrown in there together. A little bit of all of it.
Right.
And ultimately, to be quite fair, there's a part of me that's just, makes me sad. Obviously I don't want her to be like this misled, a stray person. It's kind of the same way, like, I see people dunking on all these like old, like, feminists and all that. And like, I used to also kind of, take a bit of joy in the fact of that, right? If like, oh yeah, be 55 and, be childless and have no cats. But then, there's some individuals who I'm actually close to, like close to my family that are like that. Not to say like I condone it or I wish them, the best, but to say like, you look at it and it's like, this is what you wrought for yourself. You're going to reap what you have sown. Right. You behaved like an insane animal. You danced up and down. Your body count is longer than a CVS receipt. Yep. And here you are, and part of me, I still think like, I don't think anyone should be, death sentenced to, being miserable and depressed for the rest of their lives. I don't think that's conducive to, knowing and believing in Jesus Christ. But there's an element too, where in the long term, regardless how you feel about it, the practical effect is like, people are either going to get extremely violent or you're going to see some very strong restrictive voting legislation come to pass. We're probably going to see the restrictive voting legislation begin to get passed, and people are going to start deciding who needs to be left off the voting roster, whose right needs to go first.
Right, because there are some of these people that we see their manifestos and whatnot, but it seems a lot of those are coming from the T category nowadays, and that probably has to do with messing with the person's hormones. Messing with their body chemistry and messing with their brains and stuff like that. The rest of these folks, their talk, but, this isn't a dare or anything like that, but you hear their talk, but I think that's where that really ends with them. They're not really, what you going to do,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. It's this whole thing about human dignity and all that, and it's like, well, here, if you were wanting to be honest, like you do an advertisement, it's like, well, do you want to save this immigrant? And it goes to the cage. And he's like, please, sir, I will just assault your daughter one time. That will be all. It's like I don't want that.
Right.
Like, get out, dude. Like, there's nothing that you can do to make it appeal. And I think that's kind of like where we're at, which is like all these people who have no idea what's going on, very low hanging fruit individuals are going. We're being mean to people, and then you have this, everyone else who's a bit more understood or well-read is going, yes, send more now. And I think that's what's crazy is the left isn't recognizing that behind Trump, there is a ever-growing portion of the right wing that is getting very, very, very further to the right, much further right than even where Donald Trump is at. So they're calling this guy Hitler right now, man. Well, I tell you what, in 5 years, you're gonna be begging that Donald Trump comes back to that White House.
Right, exactly. You're gonna have to find a new dictator that's worse than Hitler.
Right.
These people don't know anything else. They don't even know who Hitler is. Probably they just buddies told them, right?
Right.
It's crazy. So then Vince posted this last one, and he said, "This might be my favorite crazy Karen Alligator Alcatraz meltdown on TikTok today. Enjoy." So this is a couple minutes long. We're just gonna let her cook. Well, unless I have to cut her off. Sometimes you just have to, right?
Yeah, right.
I need you to understand how vile, how vicious, how disgusting, how cruel, how inhumane this administration is.
Okay. I'm gonna need her to spell those words and use the definition, because I don't think she actually knows what that is. But anyways,
right.
What does that mean, Donald Trump? Well, could you explain it? He's orange.
Oh,
You haven't heard the term Alligator Alcatraz? Look it up. Go find it, and I'm sure you're going to hear some more about it. These assholes are out here laughing at these concentration camps. Yes, concentration camps. They're literally being built with fences in the heat, swamp-infested areas of Florida to give that governor a nice little payday. They are cages. Jizz. No air conditioning. Who knows if there's going to be running water, but surrounded alligator infested swamps. And they think it's funny.
Cool.
They think it's funny.
She's leaving out the pythons and the mosquitoes. Gosh.
Right. Yeah, she's not playing it up enough.
Right. There's scorpions and stuff like that too, probably. So, and like maybe like sharks. Maybe not sharks, but still.
Put some like snow crab in there too. Put some just like some freaky things that scare people.
Probably some big old spiders. Yeah, there's definitely spiders, big ones.
Yeah.
I haven't
Just trying to help her out.
done all my research on this second part that I'm about to talk to you about, but I've seen a lot of videos
I don't know if she did her research on the first part, but
about stories being suppressed about what they are doing with some of these immigrants that they are deporting. There have been sightings of immigrants being escorted in shackles on their feet onto cargo planes, the kind that open with the hatch in the back. And some of the things that are being said about this is that
just swimming with the fishes. They're shackled and thrown out of the back of the plane.
Yeah.
That's what she's about to say.
these cargo planes are flying out over the Atlantic Ocean and they're losing radar. And people are coming up missing. Now, I'm not saying that it's true because I can't tell you factually it's true. All I can tell you is I've seen a few videos about this story being super, super, super suppressed by the media. And there's photos out there. Whether they're
You know what is not suppressed? Even if you take the highest estimate of how many people were killed in the Holocaust, since 2019, we have killed more unborn children in the United States alone. And that's not suppressed. That's overt. And we walk around like we couldn't care less about that being a thing. So this whole that's why this whole thing, like it couldn't make me more mad listening to, for one, I mean, being lectured by women is one thing, and two, when she's fat is another thing. But three, being lectured on this front for about human dignity is like, that she went to some picket, holding a picket sign at some rally somewhere locally that was like, what, the right to choose. It's like, you don't have any morality. Right. You have no sense of understanding of anything, to be quite honest with you. And it's just sad, though. Again, it goes back to the sad. This person's being lied to, being abused by Rachel Maddow, MSNBC, all these people who run these like high, very emotionally rage baiting kind of headlines. And that's what she gets caught up into.
Right. Bill, all bugs are racist in Florida along with air conditioning. I say what, the yellow flies don't like me.
Especially those white bugs. I don't even know if I've ever seen a white bug.
Yeah, right. You don't want to mess with the white bugs. They're poisonous. Anyways. Yeah, there's rattlesnakes and all kinds of stuff down here, not just pythons. But here, we'll let her finish up.
I don't know. After hearing about Alligator Alcatraz, you wouldn't put it past him. It would not put it past him.
It's all speculation and
dictators in our history who have done horrific, nasty.
Our history?
things. And as we all went through school and learning history, we all thought, how
Stuff.
can we let that happen? Gosh, those people back there in that time, they were of a different mindset.
Yeah, they were harder. They would have whipped your butt for saying this nonsense.
It could happen today. It's terrifying.
I've heard a couple people say in my echo chamber that this story is being suppressed and they're being dropped into the ocean. Like, come on, lady. Like, really? Like, you're just trying. Wait, that's how I know you're not even trying at life anymore, when you just believe that type of crap. And so anyway, and even Joy Reid got in on this.
I had to forget
I was going to read it, but then we'll just let her say it.
I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up people.
It's always a narrative that's so nasty, right? We need to start calling these, pro-abortion ladies baby murderers. You know what I mean? Like, we need to call them something worse than that, because that's just really what they are. So need to come up with something worse than that for these people to, like, even equal the playing field, right? But anyways.
Brown people and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise. The economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country.
Rounding up criminals and sending them home? They're going home. How? And plus it's being paid for by Biden's FEMA stuff, so.
Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people.
Good. If the Latino is illegal, they should be afraid to go to work. And that's the other thing. She's saying Latino, and it's really the illegals. The people that are Latino that are here properly, they don't care. They're not worried. They got their papers. They're like, oh yeah, here. Oh, there's ICE. Cool. I gotta maybe show who I am or whatever, because my skin color represents, might be an extra step. You know what I mean? But it's not their fault, and they're not going to any of these places. And we've even seen whenever a mistake was made, they brought the person back, right? And then they send him back out of here. Or they charged him more, but there's an error in the due process, and we're humans. Still, it's just ridiculous, and it's how they frame this stuff. She's saying Latinos, and it's really illegals. You know what I mean? And that doesn't even mean from Latino descent. There's like you were mentioning, the Haitians and other countries of origin that folks are coming from. That this applies to as well. This isn't like just the Mexican roundup and we're sending them straight back to whatever, you know what I mean? This is everybody that came to this country illegally, whether you are brown skinned or light skinned or black skinned or white or whatever, here illegally, peace, deuces, alligator Alcatraz for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking me, it sounds like she needs to be investigated by ICE. I don't know why you'd go on a show and say you have people who are afraid of ICE. I mean, like, to me, it must mean you got some illegal friends that you must be harboring or at least hiding or protecting in some form.
Right.
Yeah, it's also in the comments too. Like, Joy Reid is one of like the worst people of all of the media has created. Right.
She really is. A miserable human being, two of the most miserable people on earth. No, that's irony. We're in the same show, right? Oh yeah. So then we got this right here from good old Alligator, and who else would we listen to take advice from Alligator Gitmo? These guys in Alligator Alcatraz have been sleeping, or have better sleeping conditions than I had underway on a U.S. Navy ship. Sleeping in coffin racks 3 high with 165 guys in the same berthing space. Cry me a river. Right? You see right here, this is what America's finest basically have to do when they're out on the seas, serving our country.
Right.
We're treating illegals better than our servicemen, which, and they're on a boat and stuff, but still it's what they got to deal with. People can live through hard situations. And I'm willing to venture that every single person that breaks into our country knew that they were breaking the law when they did it. It's not like they just magically got here and they're innocent. They knew that there was potentially consequences for their actions, just like there is with anything you do in life. But you break into the biggest, well, maybe not the biggest, but the most powerful country on the planet.
Yeah.
Come on. Look, it's just so bad, and they take advantage of our system to the point where they've become so entitled to our things, and we have Democrats out here fighting to give them more of our stuff. It's rather pathetic.
Yeah, well,
but
I mean, especially on like the whole race thing, right? Too, like it's been anti-white rhetoric for God, I don't know, since like the middle of the '60s, and even a little bit some before then too. And no one bats an eye with that as well. And so, it's basically kind of coming to the table and say, hey, we know there's all this anti-white stuff, but can you kind of ignore that and then come over here and like help these Mexicans who don't even need to be here in the first place? It's like, who's falling for this, right? Like at a certain point, it's like when, especially for like young men and young women too, I would imagine, you don't have any kind of like home in sight. Everything's expensive. It's miserable to work. Your wages mean close to literally nothing because they've been stagnant since the 70s. And all you have nonstop is people begging you to bring them into your area, your region, your state, your country. But anecdotally, as a male and female, when you're around these individuals, you have to, for one, clutch your wallet, walk on the other side of the street, make sure you're not out at nighttime, make sure you don't drink too much, make sure you avoid certain areas because your life is literally in danger. And it's like, who is buying this shit anymore, right? There's nothing to buy anymore. Everyone's already seen through. And even, if you want to even kind of like isolate just the third world aspect too, you even have like what with Zaran Mamdani, right? He's sitting there fucking eating Chipotle with his bare hands. Like this isn't America.
Right.
It's not what we do here as an American.
It's not our culture. Exactly.
Yeah.
Use utensils when you get here. We're we're not third world.
Yeah. And the best thing about it is I think that just because of how bad the messaging has been and how people will refuse to not believe that, or are believing their lying eyes, it's just like it was not going to work. And I think that's ultimately why the left is just is losing largely because there's too many things that are overt and obvious to everybody that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. That when they get told otherwise, it's like, okay, you just lost complete credibility. It's like, trust me, I drive in rush hour in a multicultural society. I know who are the good drivers and who are the bad drivers. Stop lying to me.
Right. It's the 80-20 thing. And they always go with the 20. And it's like, these are easy, fundamental problems with solutions that we know how to figure out. And you're still going with the 20% that the majority of people don't agree with. And you're telling us that we're on the wrong side of history? Yeah, I don't think so. I think in 100 years, they're going to look back at this last 20-year, 30-year era and be like, they killed, like you mentioned, an entire generation of people before they were born.
Right.
And a side note, Evil Elmo was talking about this last show, and I didn't really know a whole lot about it, but I kind of looked into it a little bit. There's like a class action suit from the ACLU that might protect unborn individuals pre-birth and give them rights. And I need to deep dive more into it. But on the surface, what I've heard is kind of exciting. You know what I mean? For me, it's like, that's awesome because, they don't have anybody to fight for them. The unborn or the babies, they don't have anybody to fight for them, or they can't fight for themselves. So they need people to fight for them. And this could actually be a turning point where we can move on beyond this era of our history that's been so freaking evil, what it is. Right. And like I said, in 100 years, they'll look back and be like, I can't believe they did that. Like, how crazy. And they even knew that the population was declining and, everything. And
whew. Well, listen, this is why, I even had a conversation with my dad while we were in the waiting area before the operation. And it was on like the same lines, right? Along the same kind of thread of what you just had spoken about, which is like, they're going to look back at this portion of history, especially with like the trans stuff. And probably what's going to happen is like, unfortunately, a few mass waves of suicide from a lot of people who are being led and have made permanent changes we'll never be able to recover from, to look back and say, like, literally, like, WTF, like, this is the very sick and demented group of people who let this happen. And you can't even say like white pride unironically without being put on the list. But Grok would tell me 110 reasons why I'm like, you need to be proud for being black and all these other things too. And that's why, I'm, and this is an upcoming thing too, is actually kind of a little more of a side note. Like, one of the documentaries I'm going to make and explore is going to be called The Freedom of Association. Now, in the Constitution, it says you have the freedom of association. But the moment if I decided and I said, hey, like, I'm actually going to freely choose to not associate with any person of any other color besides white people, I'm not allowed to do that. So essentially, like, in the 1960s, late 60s, the Civil Rights Act destroyed your freedom of association. And I think that's something that actually needs to be explored a lot more. That's one thing that I think is a right that we should have. I don't think that you should be forced to employ people just because they look a certain way. I think that if the business owner runs a business, he should have full say. And if he wants to hire all male staff, he wants to hire all white staff, entirely up to him. Same thing with where you live. If I want
whatever you think is going to do the best for your business, right?
Right, exactly. And it should be like, it should not be forced association. And I think that's part of what you see all of these things that maybe otherwise wouldn't have happened. Because say maybe you don't even agree with it, right? But say this person definitely is like, they hate anyone who's not of their color. But this forced association is now going to more than likely make him act on one of those thoughts of not liking to be around these people. Whereas had they just left him alone, he might still be in North Dakota and never associated with them in the first place, hence less violence. And so there's a lot of concepts in there that I'd like to explore, because I do think it is one of the rights that we need to bring back in this country, which is the freedom of association.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to checking that out once you get it made and everything like that. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll probably for the end of next month.
Learn more. That'd be kind of cool. So this was funny. Alligator Alcatraz has excellent Google reviews. So contrary to the Democrats' beliefs, this is a 5-star just 45 minutes ago. Nestled in a quiet sanctuary, this charming inn perfectly captures the quaint and cozy vibe you're seeking in a resort area brimming with wildlife and natural beauty. However, some guests have mentioned minor drawbacks such as slightly dated decor and limited travel accommodations, but these are often overshadowed by the inn's charm and isolated location. Overall, Alligator Alcatraz offers a delightful blend of affordability, comfort, and access to wildlife-rich adventures, making it an excellent choice for a small, quaint stay on your way to other exotic destinations. Its inconvenient location ensures a memorable stay for those looking to connect with nature while sacrificing modern comforts. This is just so funny to me that somebody thought to do this. I'm not going to read through them all, but Libs of TikTok posted that, and I reposted
Google
it.
Maps, okay.
Yeah, and it's officially on Google Maps. That's how it has the reviews there.
Okay, I was curious. I was like, where would it even be posted at? You're leaving reviews. That makes sense. Google Maps.
Right. Here's one more. This was short. This location provides convenient and easy access to the airstrip, a free betting experience with three squares and a wonderfully attentive staff. Beautiful close-up views of natural wildlife on your way home. This is good stuff. It makes me laugh. Open for business. Let's go. Way too funny. Actual evidence.
That was funny.
Border solutions. Are they trying to get us to vote for Trump more? He's got a lightning gun. We got bombs coming out of jets, missiles. It's so good. So good. Yeah, moat. So then the border czar, Tom Homan, weighed in here.
But it's bad for we're living in a tent in Iraq, oftentimes with no AC in the middle of summer. Nobody complained about that being inhumane for me when I was serving the country, but it's bad for illegals?
No, it's just ridiculous. All he says the highest detention standards in the industry. I'll put our detention standards against any state prison, any federal correctional facility. We got high detention standards at high cost. And look, like the president says, we're talking about people who are in the country legally that are public safety threats. How much luxury do you want them to have? And this facility is going to give exactly what the left's been screaming about Due process, due process, due process. Guess where due process happens? At this facility, because there's going to be immigration judges there to hear their case and take their pleas. And this is going to be their last stop. When they leave here, they'll be on a deportation plane to their homeland.
Yeah, we're living in a.
I'm glad it ended at last stop because people would be like, dude, he's dropping them in the oceans. It's his last stop. He did it.
No, he should deputize himself as an immigration judge.
Right.
And like go to Alcatraz and sit there himself and just televise it. You know how much money you'd make if you televised Trump as an immigration judge deporting people from Alcatraz?
Oh, that would be.
It would have 30,000 viewers at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 100%. So this is a video out of Texas, but it says with the first pick in the 2025 Alligator Alcatraz draft, it's got this dude pulling the alligator out of a canal.
That's a
nice size
13-footer.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Look how thick that tail is compared to that guy. Woo. I saw a funny AI video that was supposedly Florida men riding alligators through the swamps. I almost saved it and I passed on it. It was like one of the first things I saw when I logged on, and I was like, oh, I'll probably come across it 10 more times, and I never did. It's one of those things I wish I would have saved though, because it was funny.
Yeah. I had some fun playing around making the thumbnail for this one. I was getting some crazy things that weren't like really thumbnail material, but it was funny to see what the Grok could make an alligator do.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good thumbnail too. I appreciate you for doing that.
Yeah.
So got a few more things just to run through, and then we're already down to. Are you going to dip out at 9, or can you stay longer?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want to jump into after this? We'll run through these last few that I have here.
Well, a little bit what I wanted to cover was your Nancy Mace responses.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Because that'll probably give you an intro into the big beautiful bill, because that's largely, I think, what she was getting in her pajamas for.
Yeah, exactly. So just real quick, here's some numbers. Florida is number 1 with illegal alien immigration cases with over 540,000 pending cases. Alligator Alcatraz will stay busy for decades. Hopefully it doesn't take decades to facilitate all this amount of people, but if every state can deport 540,000 over the next 4 years, that'd be a good number. That'd be a good number.
Well, that's the thing is it's not hinging on the fact of how quickly can they get the guys who are detained on a plane through the court out of the country. It's actually like how quickly can they get the arrest, and that's the hardest part, is like identifying every individual one that is hiding out at Home Depot, or is in the 3rd story apartment in this complex over here. That's what the time gap is for, and that's partly why I think ultimately taking the AI thing out of the big beautiful bill, it is unfortunate all the the strikes, the stricken out sections of the Second Amendment, right, with what is it called, the Shorts Act, and I can't remember what the other one was that they got rid of. But I will take the border funding, right? Like the extra, all the redirecting of the funding, because that's what they'll need, right, in order to continue to facilitate ICE members being able to spend out 12-hour shifts sitting outside of an apartment complex waiting to be able to get the guy or confirm the identity. That's where the money needs to be going, because that's where the majority of the efforts are, and that will be the thing that makes the most time. Now, if you can start getting a bunch of ICE agents, then the concern would be how quickly can Alcatraz turn around 3,000 people in a day.
Yeah, right. Ted Nugent posted this. I thought it was funny. Lefties punching Nazis. They're smacking themselves in the face.
That's funny.
I had to share that one. So let's go over here. This is a funny one here from Trump. He was still at Alligator Alcatraz when he said this here.
I think our viewers at home should note that this is air-conditioned facility, so if any of the news claims are keeping them out in the hot, humid South Florida, that is wrong. It's probably 62 degrees here, to be honest.
Hey, Biden wanted me in here, okay? He wanted me. It didn't work out that way, but he wanted me in here. That son of a bitch.
Biden wanted me in here. That's true. They wanted to lock him up. They would have thrown Donald Trump and Alligator. That's the thing. Like all these lefties melting down. What would you say if it was Donald Trump being sent there? Oh, he can. That's fine. Okay, so you have no principles. Just your enemies get the worst, right? And That's it.
Right.
Nick Sorter posted this real quick. ICE conducted a raid in North Carolina, resulting in 30 illegal arrests. The first tenants of Alligator Alcatraz are now in custody. And so it's just some arrests, whatever. But I thought that was funny. He pointed out that the first people are already caught. I don't know if they'll actually be coming down from North Carolina or not, but
Well, that's crazy though, because because if that's real, right? I mean, like, think how much money that is to not only get those guys processed in North Carolina, but then put them on a flight or bus, get them shipped down to Florida, and like all the kind of like logistical stuff in there. That's why like every state needs to have its own ability to deport directly from the state,
right?
And not have to send it to some kind of, like Alcatraz. Alcatraz is good, but a more efficient route would be if every state had some facility they could directly fly and deport people out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think DeSantis thought of it all when he deputized the National Guard for that. That's freaking fine work right there. Yeah. But this was from Congressman Byron Donalds, and it's interesting to note that for context, on June 23rd, that he stated that he was unaware of the project, and when informed about it, he dismissed it as a pipe dream. So Byron Donalds, who's a guy that I really like, and I think that I'll vote for him to be our next governor here in Florida if he's on the ticket, which is looking like he's one of the front runners. And so this is him being humble and impressed at the same time that Donald Trump and Ron were able to get this done. Maybe a little learning lesson that, if he is governor, rather than have this kind of defeatist attitude, that he needs to change his mindset. But
first of all, Mr. President, we all have to thank you for your leadership and for the mandate that the American people gave you to finally secure our borders and to deport criminal illegal aliens and longstanding illegal aliens out of the United States. That is a mandate given to you by the American people. I know Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller, Governor DeSantis, myself, on behalf of the other members of Congress in the Senate, and of course here in Florida, we are behind you 100% in that mission. To the governor, I really appreciate you and commend you for your leadership on this, taking swift, decisive action to building this facility. One of the things that has occurred because of the work you did earlier this year with the legislature is that our sheriffs are out there every single day. They are arresting these criminal aliens in our streets, and they're seeing some backlog in their jails. So this facility primarily goes to address some of that backlog and then to help us fulfill the mission that the president has led us to. So Governor, thank you for your leadership.
Let's get for here.
Gets that job done. And we had a side conversation about, I know there were some concerns. People were like, well, what happens if a hurricane comes? What happens if this happens? And I looked at Kevin Guthrie and I said, you already have a plan, don't you? And he goes, of course we have a plan. You know that we do. This is what Florida does, Mr. President. And so I want to commend you for your leadership and your vision on this. Governor, thank you for all that you've done with your vision and determination. Secretary Noem, we're going to get the bill done so you get the resources you need. See you, sir.
Thank you.
And that was the most important part, was that last little spot where he said, Secretary Noem, we're going to get the bill done so you get the resources that you need, which I was going to use to segue into the big, beautiful bill. But since we're limited on time, I want to switch over to Nancy Mace here real quick, because, she's been this champion against the trans guy and in Congress, right? And kind of making that's like her little piece of history she's cutting out, right? That's Nancy Mace that's doing that. I'm not mixing her up. She's the one that's been trying to get the other guy out. Okay. And so this was her post. This is one of her posts. This is her. Well, let me give you a little bit of background. So they canceled her flight. Her flight was canceled into DC from, I believe it's South Carolina. And so she had to jump in this luxury van, right? I mean, it's a luxury bus, short bus or whatever, and drive like 8 hours. Well, she rode 8 hours. And the whole time she was like vlogging or whatever and giving updates, and she has her cute little dog with her, but she's wearing these polka dot pajamas everywhere she goes. And she's going into gas stations, just vlogging the whole trip. And a lot of the comments, people are like, oh, I love this. This was so funny. And then the other half of the comments are so stupid, grow up. This is embarrassing, whatever. So this is what she actually has pinned to her profile, I believe, was just this little clip here. But you see, multiple people, very comfortable. My point, plenty of room to change clothes before you get out, right? And so the best way that I can do this is to scroll her timeline, because I saw this, I'm thinking, cringe.
Yeah.
Then I got to scroll past some stuff here. Here she is checking out, getting Red Bulls, in a convenience store of some type in North Carolina. It says, oh, it's a Wawa. Those are great. They make great sandwiches. Anyways, wearing I guess they're little hearts on there or whatever. Okay, it's her pajamas. I get it. You're driving overnight. You're stopping at a convenience store. Fine, whatever, right? But here you're making a spectacle of yourself. Then, we stopped at Waffle House. We'll take some pictures. I'm still wearing my pajamas. Here, I'm eating at Waffle House in my pajamas. Okay, you are a congresswoman. Would you ever imagine a man doing this? Like in his robe or in his boxers and just traveling across in leisure? No, I can't imagine it, right? So
right.
This is the one right here, I believe, that got me, right? This is the second one that got me. You saw a minute ago she was riding with all those people. So what they did, they parked, everybody else got out. They closed the door behind her. She chose not to get dressed, reopened the door, and had this grand arrival when she gets to DC, right? And here's her grand arrival. And you can see all the people that were inside her in the reflection on the door, standing outside filming her.
Made it. What time is it?
Made it, huh? You've been there for how long?
8:45? 8:52. We made it an hour to go to the vote.
Okay. You knew that you were going to get there. Everybody has a GPS. You know when you're going to arrive within the minute. You could have gotten dressed before you got there in that giant van, right? Yeah. I mean, here she is walking. This was the one that actually set me off. This is walking through the halls of Congress, or it might be the Senate building across from Congress. It might not be the Capitol. Regardless, like these are massive buildings that are, have huge history in our country. Tons of architecture and stuff like that. And here she is strolling through with her dog off leash. Fine, whatever. I like dogs. But just, this is not your home. Show some respect to what's going on here. And so I posted under that, I posted, which one was it? I'm getting responses on multiples now. Oh, here it is. I said, this is not cute and shows a lack of respect and a disconnect from the working class, whom most of us get dressed before leaving the house or hotel. Just get to work for the American people. Quit filming yourself. Quit all this nonsense, right? Yeah. And it was met with 93 likes, some reposts and stuff like that, and some comments. I had a woman here comment and say, kind of white knight for her or whatever, try to come to her rescue. Why can't I see the responses? I hate when...
Interesting. I see the 4 replies, but it's not showing any of them.
Right. Let me go here to my notifications. Unless the lady deleted her comment.
Yeah, maybe she did.
She might have. She commented twice. Here it is. Yeah, here she said she drove 9 hours through the night with her kids to get there to vote because of the flights were grounded. Do you drive overnight straight to work in your suit, or would you change in your office that had a private bathroom and sleeping quarters when you get there? And I simply responded and said, I said I would have changed in that giant van she just got out of. And then she also went live during her drive and let us know and let us ask her anything. Who does that? She's pretty in touch with regular people because she is a regular person. That's fine and dandy. But my point was, show some respect. Have some dignity for the halls of Congress and get dressed before you get out. Like, this isn't cutesy time. This is time for business. This is the most important bill that you might have ever voted on in your entire life. Like, treat it with respect. And then and so I also called her out for this post here where she got out of the van. And I said, so everybody else you were riding with got out of the van. You stayed inside, closed the door, didn't change your PJs, and then had yourself filmed to reopen the door in some grand arrival. Again, not cute. P.S. You didn't drive, you rode in a luxury van, because everybody keeps saying she drove all night. No. She just took a longer route than riding in a plane. She rode in a nice bus with her family, and probably was actually pretty fun. It sounds like she had a fun night, right? Talking to people and letting her ask questions and whatever. But
Right.
just total bad form. Bad form for women leaders, in my opinion, honestly.
Well,
and
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to add on to that too. This speaks to just the general nature of it too, which is like, and this is not even just women focused, but all members of Congress, which is they treat their job like it's like some vacation.
Right.
The big beautiful bill has been under deliberation for, I mean, how long now? It's like, why would you even go back to South Carolina? You
Right.
kind of think of it where you like, if these people were really taking it seriously, I would think they're probably sleeping in their offices, like that lady commented on with yours, right? The private chambers they all have access to. The fact that they can literally set up shop and like stay there. Not like it's fun for long term to missing your family, but it's like if your literal job is to vote on these extremely like powerful omnibus bills, then stay the fuck in DC.
Right.
Like, I don't like
Maybe
this
they
whole
went.
thing.
She went home thinking it's 4th of July and hoping that they would push past it, but that's not getting shit done for us.
Right.
Next
Exactly.
vacation, next holiday. Let's just bridge the gap and not do anything in the meantime.
Yeah, and also the fact too, it's like, yeah, you mentioned like the dog thing, but that is disrespectful too. It's the same thing with like, bringing the other lady who brings her kid in like every time she goes into Congress to go vote or do anything with her committees. It's like, this is all just for show. Like, this is not good for your kid. In fact, the best thing for him would be the fact that you weren't even in Congress and you were focused on him and not bringing him here to do a
Right.
job that literally many other men in your district has handled just as well and more than likely a lot better. And it's overall just, again, you nailed it, right? The unprofessionality of it too. And some guys do this
Like,
as
how
well
can we
too,
take
but
you
it's
seriously when you don't take your own job seriously? I don't.
right. What's this overwhelming urge to treat yourself like you're a celebrity now?
Right.
Some guys do it, right? Some guy, Congress people do it, and they're like, a day in the life as a congressman. But it's like, dude, it's like 90% of all the female Congress people do it. They treat it like an influencer. That's how they treat their
Yeah.
job as a senator or representative. It's like they are an influencer, and they're there to dance and do fun stuff on TikTok, not to get shit done.
Right. Personal, cameraman following them around, or whether it's their daughter or whoever, right? I mean, she's not filming herself like selfie. And then here she is after she changed clothes.
To vote, first vote was a procedural motion by Democrats. Should take 2 minutes, and then there'll be an hour of debate on. To vote, first vote was a procedural motion, and then we vote an hour later.
Just like, I don't know,
Love it.
man.
Repeal the
It just-
19th.
It became too much. Like, 1 or 2 posts was one thing, and then I'm like, she's walking through Congress. She's walking through the Senate building or whatever.
Right.
This is not professional decorum. Like, I don't show up. I don't drive to my construction job in my pajamas and then get there and put on my overalls or whatever. Once I get there, like, it's just crazy, man.
I mean, like, to me, like, I'll be honest, like, when I see stuff like this, it actually kind of ignites like the rage side of me a little bit, because
you don't want to choose your congressional female fighter. Yeah, that was super cringe. I forgot about that.
right. But
Remember that, where they were acting like they're in the video fighting game, like doing their stupid things.
yeah, but that's the whole thing, is it treats it like a gimmick, and it's
Right.
like, so you've literally graped my country, my religion, my people, and
My Congress.
all I have to show for it is a Nancy Mace TikTok, how she's treating the whole thing like a gimmick. It's
Right.
like, that could not be, like, when I see stuff like that, it bothers me more than almost anything we saw from the left, the liberal TikToks, right? It's like,
Right.
those people are just idiots. This is someone who's probably like not an idiot. I believe is manipulative. If you look into her case against Patrick Bryant, her ex-fiance, I think she's a very repetitive liar, habitual liar. And this is part of the reason why I think the entire country's held up. It's a show, it's theater, I'm an influencer now. And That's what I hate the most about the way the country functions. It's this whole influencer. Nothing gets done. Everyone has an idea of what bill's getting voted on and where the debate's at, and all this talking, and then I go and look at it, and it's just my whole country just annihilated, obliterated. So many old businesses that I used to go to as a kid don't exist anymore. Areas that used to not be complete shit are now complete shit. And the whole thing, and then all I have again is like this just retarded video of her walking her dog through the halls of Congress. It's like, okay, well, to me, it's like when I see something like that, it's like, maybe I should become a revolutionary and burn this place to the ground,
right?
Start over, because that, I mean, like, to me, like, that's idiocracy. That's what you get with idiocracy, is what we see in that clip right there.
Right, and as a wannabe influencer or whatever I'll call myself, I understand what it is to try to post and get likes. Look at likes and views and stuff on X. She's making money off this. This is moonlighting. You know what I mean? Like, by definition, 445,000 impressions, 445,000 impressions, 666,000 impressions, 67,000 impressions, 374,000. She got millions and millions of impressions just on this drive. It's driving her personal fame, which is going to make her more lucrative after her political career. If it ever ends, right? You know what I mean? Like, just crazy.
And not to mention her herself, right? Her entire platform is fighting men in female spaces, but the fact is her entire background is built on the back of her being a female who forced her way into male spaces. It's like everything about Nancy Mace is fake, incoherent, doesn't belong in Congress. I mean, it's a strong reflection of the lack of political willpower in South Carolina, if that ends up being representative. And again, and part of it too, it's like, she's like, I don't even know if she's human. I put that one photo, I found it again in the outline, or no, maybe I need to get it and share it to the one that we have. You know how it was bothering your eyes that I was changing it to bright white?
Oh yeah.
I figured out I could just duplicate it.
Oh, okay.
So I did that at the last minute, so you wouldn't have to look at the bright lights. But
oh, thanks. Yeah, for some reason, my face has like been highlighted white lately on the show. I need to do something better about my lighting. She's better than Lindsey Graham, and that's the thing. I don't hate her. Like, she has a couple things that she does, but this just came off as so self-aggrandizing. Just rubbed me wrong. And by the way, thank you there, Tix Bomber. I love this. Burn, baby, burn. Thank you for the 15. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, shout out Tix.
Burn, baby. Burn. Oh, wait. He kept going. And then he said, Disco Inferno. Man, shout out Tix, man. You're awesome. You the man.
See, that is fire. Fire
Yes,
on
sir.
the disco, literally.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like, that's the whole thing. I throw. I give no credibility to, which is like the relativity thing. Well, at least they're better than this person. It's like, well, yeah, I can grab 2 piles of shit out of the toilet at any given moment and say I like this one better. That's what it's like. All of it's got to get done away with, which is why you see these growing accelerationist movements. People who are just like, you know what, maybe I'm just like, I'm just going to vote for the worst candidate, whatever makes this country fall faster. And you give it on both sides, right wing and left wing accelerationism. Because at a whole, it's like, on the grassroots side, there are people who are just angry every day, discontent with what they see, and sometimes it's their fault, right? The way the choices they made in their lives led them to that way. But sometimes it goes to things that are just entirely social pressures, going to like young white men in colleges, getting, attacked, demonized. That's another avenue where it's like, kind of like institutionally upheld. It's not a good playing forward or move forward. But luckily, though, with this, though, karma does great wonders. I don't think Nancy Mace will be in Congress much longer, especially after this last couple year stint she's had. Especially if Patrick Bryant can get her on a defamation case too, in regards to sexual assault stuff she brought up. Think about back in like 2018. Her career will probably be done.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even know much about that Patrick Bryant thing, so I'm gonna have to look into that and find out. And I don't know how popular she is in South Carolina amongst the constituents and stuff like that. And TNT mentions that South Carolina is weird. So yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah.
Texas, funny. It is funny.
You know, is that a mini party bus? It looks nice. You know, and I'm sure. Yo, what up, Marcus? Good to see you, man.
Hey, what's up, Marcus? Yeah, you got here at the perfect time. You got to come fill in for me. I gotta take off and spend some time with my family, I guess.
Yeah, you're good. Whenever you need to go, that's fine. I do want to move over here because I touched on this before last week, and this is a quick little story here that the Ice Block, the guy that created the Ice Block app, and I know you guys remember talking about this dude on the last show, because this guy created this app that basically was intended for people to, if you see ice in this area, mark it so people get a heads up, you know, ahead of time, and they can evacuate the area. And it's basically making ICE's life, you know, much harder to do their job. Not only that, but also putting them at risk because, hey, look, they're coming for you. So then, you know, somebody can arm up or flee or whatever, right? Rather than be caught by surprise and be, you know, disarmed in that manner. So this dude that created, his name's Joshua Aaron. He's the creator of Ice Block app. And he says that it's not meant to incite violence, but he publicly mocks ICE agents, compares them to Nazis, and doxes their location in real time. On his Blue Sky profile, he proudly claims membership in Antifa, a group repeatedly tied to violent protests and attacks on law enforcement. This isn't activism. It is targeted harassment and is putting lives at risk. That post was from the Undercurrent. And here you can see a screenshot of this dude's Blue Sky homepage. And of course, he's following 666 people. I'm sure that's intentional, right? It's evil. Proud Antifa.
Wow, how similar it looks to Twitter.
Yeah, that is. Now that you say that. Proud Antifa, resist by any means necessary, equality for all, BLM, Ice Block Army, science is real, which, just so you know, God created science. So I don't think that means to him what it that doesn't mean what it really means, but he's confused. You have to excuse my friend. And he plays a little music sometimes too, just so you know, he's a hippie. But this is the dude.
Yeah.
And got a few things here. Gunther Eagleman posted that Kristi Noem says that they're working on charges against this dude, or against CNN, I'm sorry, for sharing the Ice Tracker app, because we saw on the last show, and I'll replay it again, actually. Let me replay that first, because this was more in the timeline, accurate to the timeline.
Is pushing belt.
Before you play that, I will go ahead and take off.
Okay.
The funny part, though, is what people did with the app that I'm sure the audience will be happy to hear.
Yes.
But good night, everybody. I appreciate being here, and I will see you guys on Saturday.
Yeah, man. Look forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, brother. Peace out. Good night, everybody.
All right. That was Atlas Thug. Make sure you check out his channel, Atlas Thug. He had a big stream the other night. He covered the he restreamed the this Dinesh D'Souza and Nick. I'm drawing a blank on his name. You know, the Nick that nobody can talk about, him, Fuentes, debate, and had a nice reaction. I think he got over like 5,000-6,000 views. So congratulations on that one, by the way, too, there, brother. I don't think I mentioned that to you if you're still around. But yeah, that was cool seeing some success. Anyways, this was the CNN basically promoting it. They're telling you about it, but they're also promoting it at the same time. Thank you, Just Me Fuentes. I can't believe I forgot his name. That was weird.
Deportations. One tech developer is pushing back with an app designed to track ICE activity in real time. It's called Ice Block, and it's controversial to say the least. CNN's Claire Duffy is with us now. How does this work, Claire?
Tell us how to operate it.
Yeah, John, I talked with Joshua Aaron, who is the longtime tech worker who developed this platform, and he said he really wants it to be an early warning system for people about the location of immigrations and customs enforcement officers. So he says he does not want people interfering with those officers' activity, but he does want people to be able to avoid them altogether if they want. So you open the app, it looks like a map, and users can tap the map to report an ICE sighting in their area, and then everybody who uses the platform within 5 miles of that sighting will get a push alert. This is a free iPhone app. It is anonymous. Aaron says he doesn't collect any user data. And what I think is really interesting about this in this moment is we've seen so many of the biggest leaders in tech supporting President Trump, but Aaron is sort of an example of the fact that there are people within the tech industry who are really resistant to Trump's policies. I asked him what he would say to those tech leaders who, for example, were at the inauguration. Here's what he told me. Take a listen.
I understand that you have shareholders to report to. I understand that you have employees that need their paychecks. But at what point do you say enough is enough?
And John, I should say that ICE did not respond when I asked them about this platform and about Aaron's opposition to their activity.
So that was a couple days ago. So now we have, excuse me, Kristi Noem responding to that.
And Madam Secretary, CNN yesterday pushed an app that lets you track where ICE agents are. Tom Homan was saying that perhaps CNN should be prosecuted for that. That's obstruction of law enforcement. Your response?
Yeah, we're working with the Department of Justice to see if we can prosecute them for that, because what they're doing is actively encouraging people to avoid law enforcement activities, operations, and we're going to actually go after them and prosecute them with the partnership of PAM if we can, because what they're doing, we believe, is illegal.
And they may be prosecuted also for having given false reports on the attack in Iran. They were given totally false reports. It was totally obliterated, and our people have to be celebrated, not come home and say, what do you mean we didn't hit the target? We hit the target prison. You know, the pilots came home and they said, we hit the target prison. So they may be very well prosecuted for that. What they did there, we think, is totally illegal. Okay, let's go. Follow us. Yes. You know,
Yeah, and then so actually, let me move that back. I gotta minimize that. Okay. So then we have right here. This is a good part. This is the part that you guys have been waiting for, and you didn't even know it. Breaking: Republicans are now flooding the ICE Block app, an app used to help illegals evade ICE, with false reports, an effort to render the app unusable. So just so you know, if you're planning a trip to like Home Depot or something like that, just report that ICE is over at the Home Depot and you'll have short lines. So it's hilarious. I love how it's been completely co-opted. And this renders this app worthless. You can't trust what it's saying, and I love it. It's so good. Justice served cold, just like it should be. And swift. I love this. I loved it. And then this is Kristi Noem on Fox.
I'm so thrilled that Pam is willing to be proactive and go after those individuals that would perpetuate this kind of activity against our law enforcement officers. These ICE agents, these law enforcement officers, Border Patrol agents that get up every single day and are working to get these dangerous criminals off of our streets are heroes. They are absolute heroes. And to hear that the amount of violence that's coming up against them, a 700% increase in just the last several months against them and their families. They're not just going after them. They're also doxing their families and threatening their children. And these individuals just love America and believe that the law should apply to everybody. They're doing their jobs that Joe Biden never let them do, and they're protecting their own communities. Remember that many of these law enforcement officers live in these communities. Their children go to those schools. They go to church there. These are their neighbors. neighbors they're trying to protect. And to have someone like CNN openly describing how to use technology to reveal the activities and the operations that these law enforcement folks are trying to conduct, it's shameful and it could be prosecutable. So I'm glad that Pam is looking into it.
So even Pam Bondi's going to look into it, which is it's good news. And I hope this dude, this little Antifa squirt freaking gets the crap scared out of him, if nothing else, right? He can't be prosecuted or whatever. We'll be nice. We'll be nice. So got so much more to talk about. Goodness. Riley Gaines is back in the news, right? And well, we'll just start with this article from the Gateway Pundit. This is another win for Trump. This is a campaign promise delivered, almost, like, pretty much. He didn't even have to deliver it. But UPenn surrenders to Trump in big win for women. Will strip trans swimmer Lia Thomas of all records. Award victories to females impacted by his inclusion, and much more. This is great. Unfortunately, UPenn is trying to figure a workaround. This story came out, and then very shortly after it, a follow-up came out. And we can look into that too. But the Trump administration has dealt a severe blow to the radical left's trans lobby while securing a massive win for fair play. On Tuesday, the University of Pennsylvania bent the knee to Trump by agreeing to resolve Title IX violations over transgender swimmer Lia Thomas. The penalties are particularly harsh for Thomas, who stole glory from female swimmers by pretending to be one of them. Now, I'm going to cut in and say that this is one step to making it right, but there's some women that were robbed, and there's no making it right for them, because when it comes to qualifications through like regionals to make it to a state tournament or a nationals tournament, say the top 5 advance. I don't know the actual parameters, but we'll just use that for an example. Well, Lia Thomas was one of those 5. The 6th girl didn't get to advance, didn't get to compete, was robbed out of participating in that college sport one more time for that next tournament on the next level, potentially lost scholarships, lots of things that can happen in the fallout. Other than just like, okay, he took first place, now the person that took second is awarded to be the champion. Okay, we're going to remove the records, the time records that they broke and stuff like that. There's still more damage that can't be reconciled. But to continue, the school not only agreed to erase Thomas's records from the books, but also awarded victories to the swimmers whose glory had been stolen. Moreover, each impacted swimmer will receive a formal apology letter from UPenn. But that's not all. UPenn must adopt biology-based definitions for male and female consistent with Trump's executive orders, defending women from gender ideology extremism and keeping men out of women's sports. Under the terms of keeping men out of women's sports, the stated policy is to oppose male competitive participation in women's sports more broadly, as a matter of safety, fairness, dignity, and truth. The defending women from gender ideology extremism order directs the Department of Education to enforce Title IX based on biological sex, threatening to withhold federal funding from the educational institutions that allow transgender women to compete in women's sports. If the Department of Education is dismantled, other agencies will take over. UPenn must also ban men from participating in women's sports activities from the occupying female athletic facilities such as locker rooms. So there's also that damage that has been done. Women were forced to change in front of this guy, right? And when you're changing out of a swimsuit, I mean, there's no covering up, right? So anyways, this means no more men undressing themselves in front of unsuspecting women. And then it says, here's a complete list of concessions by UPenn to Trump. Okay, I'll read through those. UPenn has signed OCR's resolution agreement to resolve its Title IX violations, which requires UPenn to undertake the following action items. UPenn will restore female athletes all individual UPenn Division I swimming records, titles, or similar recognitions which were misappropriated by male athletes allowed to compete in female categories. UPenn will issue a public statement to the university community stating that it will comply with Title IX, specifying that UPenn will not allow males to compete in female athletic programs or occupy Penn Athletics female intimate facilities. The statement will specify that UPenn will adopt biology-based definitions for the words male and female pursuant to Title IX and consistent with President Trump's executive orders defending women from gender ideology extremism and keeping men out of women's sports. UPenn will post the statement in a prominent location on its main website and on each of its websites for women's athletics. UPenn will rescind any guidance which violated Title IX, remove and revise any internal and public-facing statements or documents that are inconsistent with Title IX, and notify all staff in women's athletics of all such recessions, and UPenn will send a personalized letter of apology to each impacted female swimmer. The statement comes after the Trump administration cut off $175 million to UPenn back in March after they defied his orders on banning men in women's sports. So this is fantastic, right? He hit them where it hurts, the dollars. And as the Gateway pundit reported, UPenn made headlines in 2022 after placing Thomas, a biological male identifying as transgender woman, on the women's swim team. Thomas went on to win a national title in the women's 500-yard freestyle, edging out female competitors over whom he had a clear biological advantage over. In the 200-yard freestyle, Thomas tied with former Kentucky swimmer Riley Gaines for fifth, but only Thomas was awarded the trophy, sidelining Gaines. The controversy over Thomas's participation led to the aggressive nationwide backlash about fairness in women's sports. And if you don't remember correctly, if you might not have been paying attention, the only reason he placed fifth and tied with Riley Gaines was because he obviously realized that he was smoking women by like 15 seconds and he had to do something different. And so he slowed down on purpose, trying to break the narrative, right? But we're smarter than that. But Riley Gaines posted that UPenn has agreed to right its wrongs, restore records to women, rightful women athletes, and issue an apology to women impacted by the man they allowed to compete as a woman. Are pigs flying? God bless real Donald Trump. Colin Rugg posted, new trans UPenn swimmer Lia Thomas will be stripped of his titles thanks to the Trump administration. It's a huge win. And here's Thomas himself speaking.
We respect her identity. We just don't think it's fair. You can't really have that sort of half support where you're like, oh, I respect her as a woman here, but not here. They're using the guise of feminism to sort of push transphobic beliefs. And I think a lot of people in that camp sort of carry an implicit bias against trans people, but don't want to, I guess, fully manifest or speak that out. And so they try to just play it off as this sort of half support.
They think about how twisted feminism, quote unquote, feminism has become. Their arguments, in order to exclude anybody in the trans category, you have to reduce women to reproductive capacity, which is, in my opinion, extremely anti-feminist. I don't want to put those women down either. And I know you don't want to either, because I see pain. I see pain, and the pain is coming from somewhere. It's not you, though. It's the patriarchy. And how can we get people to...
You're blaming men? Wait, what? Do you not see the irony behind that stupid statement? Nancy is great. She doesn't have a Palestinian flag outside her door. She represents... I don't hate Nancy Mace or anything like that. I just got annoyed with the whole pajamas spectacle. Just get to work. You know what I mean? The pain is from his dilator. He didn't go that far. I believe that he was actually seen with erections in the locker rooms. Maybe not. Don't quote me. Maybe not. Right. But Riley Gaines then posted as well. Thank you. And while you're keeping track, make sure to Oh wait, she posted this actually in response to Keith Olbermann, who said, wanted to congratulate whiny Gaines on now being able to say she finished tied for fourth, not tied for fifth in the Lia Thomas race. What What a scumbag thing to say. Total scumbag thing to say. But she has a great comeback and says, thank you. And while you're keeping track, make sure to congratulate Emma Wayant, the right national champ in the 500 freestyle too. But if you're insulting 5th place in the nation as bad, what do you call a man who ranks 462nd nationally in the men's category, which is what Lia Thomas, I don't know his real name, was ranked amongst the men before he decided that he was going to compete against the women. Total burn. I loved her comeback there. The weakest men compete with girls, the weakest minds celebrate it. That's 100% true right there. 100% true right there. Then Alex Jones actually weighed in. Now that Trump has cut off the federal funding, public universities are suddenly saying men should not be able to invade women's sports. This was all paid for with taxpayer dollars and administered by groups like BlackRock. We'll never forget. Good point. I like Alex. And then finally, the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, announces that Penn will be sending personal apologies to every female athlete who was forced to compete against a male. This is what winning looks like. And guys, we're 2 days into MAGA month, and we have so many wins to celebrate. And we got the big, beautiful bill hopefully coming soon on the heels of all these other wins, right? But here's her.
The university will be sending a personal apology to every female athlete who was forced to compete against a man.
Let's see. You said read the comment underneath. Where'd it go? Right here. Yeah, he said wanted to congratulate Whiny Gaines on being able to say she finished tied for 4th, not tied for 5th. Or did he respond after that? Tix. Or maybe he's pegged by him. I don't see him respond after that. Maybe it's on this. Oh no. The comment by. Oh, okay. Yeah, Overman gets pegged by his boyfriend with a strapped on cucumber. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know. Could be fake news, but it's still funny. Funny to say, that's for sure. Could be the fakest news. We're not sure. You know what? I think I'm gonna cover this one last little thing, and then I'm gonna call it a show, and then I'll probably do a show midday tomorrow and cover the rest. We'll probably have more big beautiful bill information come out anyways. I got so much lined up from the big beautiful bill. It's probably gonna take me another hour and a half to go through it all. And so yeah, I think I'll do a bonus stream tomorrow to cover that part of it. Let's see. A couple things to touch on here. A few things to touch on still before we go. Oh. Okay. So I'm being told that Thunder Sooner mentioned that the big beautiful bill is passed. You know, I should go ahead and refresh my my homepage here and just have a look. Because if that happened, then I'll just go ahead and start going through it. Breaking an entire neighborhood is reporting they witnessed a UFO in 4K as a massive light can be seen. Ooh. Wow, okay, that looks like a tree light. Let's see. Let's see real quick. 3 hours ago, not yet. Searching. Let's go here to trending. In the meantime, Diddy seemed to have gotten off on the worst charges. 3 of the 5 didn't stick. And the 2 that did stick seemed to be fairly minimal. I mentioned that earlier too. Is anybody else seeing that the big beautiful bill passed in the House today? I don't think it did. I know that it passed in the Senate, and then it was back to the House. You know what? Now that there is a part of the big beautiful bill that I want to cover real fast. It's just a clip from Mr. Guns and Gear. And if you're in the Discord, you saw that I mentioned that I called what's his name's office, Mike Johnson's office today, and left a message, which was inspired by this video here from Mr. Guns and Gear. And let me clear some of these tabs real fast. Got like 900 tabs open. Okay. So the big beautiful bill has passed in the Senate without removing suppressors, SBRs, and SBSs. This is Second Amendment related, as you can guess by the name, Mr. Guns and Gear, from the NFA, right? So now's the time to call and email your reps and let them know you support Rep. Clyde's amendment that puts the HPA and the Short Act back in the bill. So this Short Act made it through the House, but when it got to the Senate, they took some things out, and this was one of the things they took out. And so here, let's I'm gonna play this for you guys.
Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the thumbnail and the title, we're going to be talking about the Senate passing the big, beautiful bill today and basically how that impacts the Second Amendment. So if you recall, when the bill left the House, it had the Hearing Protection Act in there, and it was the full act. So that way it was going to remove suppressors from the NFA and also remove the tax stamp, and they would be transferred and treated as a firearm. So basically just the 4473, immediate transfer, no registry. Back when that happened, I made a video, and many others did as well, calling for the Senate to introduce the Short Act.
All right. Well, you guys are talking about sausage gravy and tater tots. That's the show for the night. I'm going to go eat. I'm just kidding. Sounds good, though.
And what that would do would remove short barrel rifle, short BD, just the 4473.
I bounced it back.
Immediate transfer, no registry. Back when that happened, I made a video, and many others did as well, calling for the Senate to introduce the Short Act. And what that would do would remove short barrel rifle, short barrel shotguns, etc., from the NFA as well. Basically, they transfer just like any other firearm, no registry, and nothing, no additional tax, no extra fingerprints, no sheriff notification, none of that nonsense. So those were added in, and then the Senate parliamentarian, who is an unelected bureaucrat who was appointed by Harry Reid and serves at the pleasure of Republican.
That's an important factor. The parliamentarian, who is an unelected bureaucrat, still has weight in this reconciliation bill and can determine I can't remember the law. It's a 4-letter word. It's a guy's name. It's the Gary rule or something like that. And if it applies, then it's not actually the bill, or this amendment on the bill doesn't apply under the reconciliation bill. And as a reconciliation bill goes, only requires 51 votes versus 60 if it's a non-reconciliation bill, if it's a budget bill, which means you can get these things passed with fewer votes, and you don't have to give anything to a Democrat because there's enough Republicans to get it done. And so keep that in mind, that this parliamentarian,
John Thune, meaning that, yes, he could fire her. He did not. She went in there and took both of those, the taxes anyway, out of the both of those bills, but left both of the items, suppressors, short barrel shotgun, short barrel rifles, etc., on the NFA.
just real quick, that says we have been successful in removing parts of the bill that hurt families and workers, but process is not over. The Democrats are continuing to make the case against every provision in this big, beautiful betrayal of a bill that violates Senate rules. So the Democrats are still making a stink, but really, in my mind, they don't have a vote in this, so they don't really have a say. And the Republicans should be playing hardball and not give the Democrats a freaking inch on this. This is what the people mandated when we elected Donald Trump in a House and Senate majority Republican.
She did that because she claims they don't comply with the bird rule.
Bird
That's absolutely
rule.
not true. I've made videos on this
Sorry, I call it the Gary rule. I knew it was 4 layers. I couldn't remember what it was. Bird rule.
in the past, specifically the Hearing Protection Act, specifically that one, but the Short Act as well. Specifically, the Hearing Protection Act was written in a specific way to comply with the bird rule. As I mentioned on a video, I believe I did with Jared on Friday, talking about when this kind of was happening. That is not her place as an unelected bureaucrat serving in the Senate, reviewing legislation.
Same here,
to do.
TNT.
If that was going to be challenged, whether or not it was compliant with the bird rule, and the bird rule just has to do with taxes and what can pass without 60 votes. That's essentially what it is. And this rule absolutely is compliant with it. Both of them are. Both of the bills, rather, I should say, are compliant with it. Regardless, it's not her job to make that decision. There's 100 senators. One of them can make that decision one way or another. And there's also a appellate court that could review this after it passes. Regardless, it was stripped out and it was passed by the Senate today with J.D. Vance breaking the tie vote. So right now it's going to go back to the U.S. House, which this is why it's important for all of you. So right now it can still be added right back in. The United States House can add both of those in, the HPA and the Short Act as originally written, which will again remove them from the NFA, which is exactly what we want. And there should be a number here on your screen to call Mike Johnson, information to email them, and all of those other things will be down below in the video description. But definitely get on there, let them know. Again, you want HPA put back in, no registry, no nothing. Same with the Short Act.
And that's exactly what I did today. First time I've ever called a congressman. Obviously, I got his voicemail. But I did leave a message saying that I want the HPA and Short Act back in the bill. And I want our Second Amendment to be applied as the Founding Fathers meant it to be, which is how it's stated, shall not be infringed, which means basically, to me, you should be able to buy a gun from whoever wants to sell you one. But, you know. Let's see here. I hope Trump gets in front of the cameras at the Oval Office, 30 reporters watching, and says, WTF is this? And vetoes it. That would be hilarious if he vetoed that after working so hard. And it's like, this is not what we pushed for. That would be great if he kicked it back, though. You know, and said, no, some stuff needs to get fixed. That'd be actually all right.
Now, with that, let's discuss what is currently going on. So if it goes forward, let's just hypothetically say, again, to be clear, I am not rooting for this. I do not want this to happen. I want these items removed from the NFA, National Firearms Act, registry. That is the easiest way to dismantle them. Groups like the NRA and other type of compromising groups are trying to say that this is a good thing today. Here's what I will say. It's better than absolutely nothing. However,
what's wrong with the NRA? Glad I'm not a member.
The alternative, meaning removing them, is still an option. So why would you even entertain it at this point? But the reason they're saying it, and people who kind of understand how this works, hopefully the F-22s overhead aren't too loud, but they are running around today all day. But the reason people on our side who are saying this is a good thing are saying so is because there have been several over the years court cases where the NFA itself has been challenged because, of course, you are taxing a right.
Yeah, 100% Tix. The government has no business dictating constitutional rights specifically put in place to protect the people from them. Not to mention, it's a God-given right. It's not a government-given right. It's a human right that you get for being alive.
And in every one of those cases, the reason they have been upheld when they are appealing it on that basis is because they say Congress has the right to tax, period. And it's not a blanket ban or a registry or anything like that. It is just a tax. It is a primarily primarily a tax. That's what all the government rulings have said over the years. So if you remove the tax from it, the next time it goes before a court, they could strip it out of the NFA because that tax sort of like overhead cover, if you will, isn't there. It's the same reason, if you guys remember years ago when Obamacare went before the Supreme Court, they said the reason Obamacare was constitutional is because it was a tax, which again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the courts have been very consistent on these sorts of things. So now the next time that goes before a court case, which I would imagine if this was passed would be immediately, then they could challenge that in court. However, that is a hypothetical in the future. I don't want to wait on that. I don't want to risk that. Again, throughout my entire life and even my parents' life, the NFA has been a thing. These items have been unconstitutionally restricted. And right now we have the ability to fix it. It's very simple. Put them back in. Tell the senators to do their job and overrule this lady, because you absolutely can overrule a Senate parliamentarian. You can also fire them. The Senate parliamentarian was fired during a reconciliation process, which is the technical term for what this bill is, in 2001 by a Republican. It's totally doable. You can do it again and just put it right back in the bill.
Do it.
So again, it is totally possible. It has to go in first in the House. Hopefully, both of the provisions back in the bill in the House, back up to the Senate. Hopefully the Senate just shuts the hell up and passes it, at least those provisions, and strips some of the other nonsense out of the bill, because there's a lot in there. But of course, here on the channel, we talk about the Second Amendment. So that is what is currently going on. So that is the call to action. Right now, contact Mike Johnson and contact your House representatives. Again, phone number on screen, link down below in order to do so. And that's it for today's video. If you guys like this type of video, make sure you.
And so, like I said, I don't want to get into the whole big, beautiful bill thing, but since I believe it has not been voted on yet, there's still time to contact your local congressman. Call this number, leave a message for Mike Johnson. It took me less than 2 minutes. And just let them know that you want this HPA and Short Act back in the bill. And there's still time since they haven't voted on it yet, I believe, right? So that's why I wanted to play that rather than waiting until tomorrow, because I am going to cover the rest of the big, beautiful bill tomorrow. I'll probably go live maybe midday. Well, I just remembered, and you guys might be disappointed. I'm cutting the hair tomorrow. It's going. I don't know how much of the beard might come off. Some of it might come off. But it's time. It's been about 3 years, and I might grow it back out, but yeah. So I got that appointment about 1:30. So maybe when I'm done, I'll don the new face and come back and do this. Probably won't wait till the evening, but maybe. But I will be up tomorrow streaming, so be on the lookout for that. Do a mullet, you give me $100. You know, do I got a permit? I don't want a permit. Rock the Fu Manchu. Captain Willie, I think, almighty God, I live in Alaska. That's cool. I've never been there. I'd like to visit Alaska sometime. I got a friend that knows a dude that makes knives up there, and he uses like elk horns and stuff like that for the handles. He got a nice set from him. My buddy does epoxy wood tables and stuff, and he traded him, and the dude sent him like an awesome knife set with a custom made like leather pouch that like holds it all on his belt and stuff. Pretty awesome. Rock the Fu Manchu. Well, if I show up with $100 and a Fu Manchu tomorrow, I expect some super chats. If I show up with a mullet, not $100, I show up with a mullet and a Fu Manchu. I was reading. No, I'm just teasing you guys. But I am getting the haircut, so it's gonna be different. But I'm looking forward to it. Just ready for a little bit of a change. Maybe should wait till after deer camp in November, but oh well. Anyways, wanted to just cover that. We'll be back to cover the big, beautiful bill tomorrow. What else we got? I do want to talk about just this quick. This was like the big breaking kind of news today, which was the Pentagon halted shipments of weapons to Ukraine. So I don't want to leave that out. But there's not a whole lot of information on it, so it's real brief. But breaking, the Pentagon has halted shipments of weapons to Ukraine per Politico. Finally, not a penny more of our tax dollars sent to Ukraine. We're done. Here is the article from the Gateway Pundit. It says breaking Pentagon halts some weapons shipments to Ukraine after it's revealed Joe Biden depleted U.S. munitions stockpiles. This one time at deer camp, we didn't sleep more than 25 minutes because we were too drunk. Let's see here. One thing kind of annoys me that makes me feel like, what's that? Let's see. Did I miss? Okay. So anyways, continuing here. The Pentagon, and this is and I have a theory behind this because Buck posted in the Discord something that might correlate kind of with this story. So it kind of piques my interest on motives for this. But the Pentagon is halting some weapons shipments to Ukraine after it was revealed that Joe Biden depleted the U.S. stockpiles. The Trump administration is withholding shipments promised by the Biden regime after the Pentagon's policy chief, Colby, found the U.S. stockpiles of munitions and air defense missiles are dangerously low. Joe Biden sent billions of dollars to Ukraine, and now the U.S.'s total number of artillery rounds, air defense missiles, and precision munitions are sinking. I have a post from Dave Brown. He says, Scoop, the Pentagon has halted shipments of some air defense missiles and other precision munitions to Ukraine due to worries that U.S. weapon stockpiles have fallen too low. The decision was driven by the DoD policy chief Elbridge Colby and was made after a review of Pentagon munition stockpiles, leading to concern that the total number of artillery rounds, air defense missiles, and precision munitions was sinking. The Pentagon has halted shipments. This is what was written in Politico. Is quoting, the Pentagon has halted shipments of some air defense missiles and other munitions to Ukraine. The decision was driven by the Pentagon's leader, and the initial decision to withhold some aid promised during the Biden administration came in early June, according to the people. I don't know who the people are, but is only taking effect now as Ukraine is beating back some of the largest Russian barrages of missiles and drones at civilian targets in Kiev and elsewhere. I think they're maybe just referring to the drone attacks that they did. I haven't really heard much else from Ukraine getting any kind of wins out of there, but Biden sent Ukraine as much money and military aid as possible in his last few weeks in office. And Charlie Kirk posts, in what has become a weekly routine, this is an older post, outgoing Biden regime is preparing another $1.25 billion weapons package for Ukraine as they work to push out all available funding before Trump takes office. So it kind of reminds me of the pallets of cash that Obama sent to Iran on his way out, right? It's like they have this last cash dump, funding dump somewhere to get some money back to themselves somehow or whatever. It seems really fishy. Last September, the Biden regime announced an eye-watering $8 billion in military aid for Ukraine during Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington. Since the onset of Russia's full-scale invasion, Congress has approved nearly $175 billion in aid and military assistance for Ukraine. Now, the thing that's curious about this is the timing. And I know it says it was announced in June, and that's kind of a detail that might be the most important detail in my theory. But Donnie posted, it was just a short video in the Discord, and I'm not going to play it, but it basically was talking about selling these types, similar types, not a weapons, on this level expert, but selling these types of defense munitions to Israel. So I'm wondering if Trump or somebody up at the top said, well, why would we give these things that we have that are limited to Ukraine for free when Israel's our ally and they'll buy them from us? That's a capitalist kind of type of mentality maybe that might be applied in that scenario. Not sure if it correlates, but it's curious. I did see in one of the other stories, there's a few different articles posted on this, but that at one point last year, I think it was last year, might have been the year before, they gave away enough javelins. They gave away so many javelins, it was like 7 years worth of production of javelins that we gave to Ukraine. So we just can't produce the weapons at the rate that Joe Biden was giving them away. much like what he was doing with, the oil that he gave away, the surplus, the stockpile, or the reserves, that we had, the strategic reserves that he sold to China. Just wanted to deplete us, wanted to spend everything and leave us with nothing. And that's why I'm so happy that Trump won. We couldn't have had a continuation of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's in the form of Kamala Harris. It would have been devastating. The walls are white too. There's a black couch off screen. What? Let's see. It's the handle. What am I missing? Oh, the camera sitting on the tripod. It was behind my computer and I kept kicking it, so I moved it. It's an old camera actually, and I can't really use it. It doesn't do the audio well, and I don't know. I was gonna try to work it in with this and maybe have like two cameras. Like I could look at this camera and then I could look over at the other camera, like you see some people. But then I was like, well, I have to change my background and rearrange my desk, which I also do want to do. It'd be nice to have a little change. Rearrange the office a little bit. It's about Chicka Wow camera. But yeah, clearly Joe Biden's goal was to destroy America as quickly as possible. Is there a black? Oh, here, that was a question. There's a black couch off screen. Well, no, I don't even have a couch. Actually, I do. I got a bunch of recliners. It was a Diddy party. That was for the Diddy party. It got ruined by baby oil. But then this is a cool win for Trump. We're talking about MAGA month. MAGA month win right here. This is awesome. CBS is forced to recognize that Trump's tariffs have brought in over $121 billion to the U.S. without imposing a burden on the consumers. It's spying on you. Yeah, I do have a couch. We have a great room and a living room, and I never hang out in the living room, but we do have a couch in there. You got a dog for your couch. You got to have both. It's like a set. No, but this is awesome. $121 billion in tariffs brought to the U.S. without imposing a burden on the consumers, contrary to the fear-mongering bullcrap that the Democrats have been, yapping out of their pie holes for so long. Let's hear this, because this is great. This is glorious. They're having to say this on their own channel, CNBC.
Look how much we've been collecting in revenues. And I did this in part because Wilfred's here. And
look at that
we can talk
chart
about the UK trade deal, but just this is the monthly.
And you can see where Biden maintained Trump's tariffs on China. Actually made a little bit more after Trump's first term, but then it dropped off because, as we just stated, Biden wanted to strip everything and leave Trump with nothing, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they spied on him again like they did the first time.
Numbers. And they have gone up a lot. June is actually set for another big increase of $27 billion. That is money coming into U.S. coffers from tariffs. We are collecting a lot of revenue. So far, guys, $121 billion has flowed into the U.S. government since the start of the fiscal year. It's still a tiny portion of the overall revenues that the U.S. government gets, but it's increasingly a lot. Especially, we haven't seen it in terms of the consumer paying off higher inflation. Look how much we've...
Is this good? Was that good? You guys, is a lot good? That's right. Boom. Take that, CNN, CNBC, TNT. That's funny. Imagine if engineers were as wrong as often as CNN, America would fall on itself. Yeah, let's not imagine that, actually. That's pretty funny, though. I like this, too. Tix Bomber. The tariffs didn't work. New high score. Is that bad? Yeah. That's funny. So I love that. That's great. You can clip that and share it with all your Democrat friends in your group chats. So just so you know, even the media you trust has to admit it. So glorious. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you guys is that Paramount breaking. CBS Paramount forced to pay Trump massive 8-figure settlement for deceptively editing the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris interview. This is great. This has been kind of ongoing. Wasn't sure if this would end in a settlement or if it get tossed out or what. I was kind of hoping it would go to court because then they'd be able to subpoena all the communications and emails and texts that went back and forth, and you really get like an insight into what went on behind the scenes and what happens with their the way that they treat Donald Trump versus the way that they treat Kamala Harris when they do a one-on-one face-to-face interview. And so Paramount and CBS were forced to pay millions of dollars to President Donald Trump and agreed to change its editorial policy in a settlement. So this is cool. Just like Trump's, men out of women's sports, he's not only like setting the course straight, but he's also like making them change their fundamentals, like their policies that go behind it. And so I just love it. But President Trump filed a $20 billion lawsuit against the network's parent company, Paramount, for deceptively editing a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. That was during the campaign when they were both still running. Trump will be paid $16 million up front, according to Fox News. Paramount Global and CBS agreed on Tuesday to pay President Donald Trump a sum that could reach north of $30 million to settle the president's election interference lawsuit against the network. And I'm glad that it's worded that way because, in my opinion, it is election interference. They literally doctored the interview to make her look better so that she would have a better chance of beating Donald Trump. Period. The end. But Trump will receive $16 million up front. This will cover legal fees, costs to the case, and contributions to his library or charitable causes to be determined at Trump's discretion. There is an expectation that there will be another allocation in the mid-8 figures set aside for advertisements, special public announcements, and other similar transmissions in support of conservative causes by the network. Fox News Digital has learned. Sources close to the situation told Fox News Digital that CBS has agreed to update its editorial standards to install a mandatory new rule. Going forward, the network will promptly release full, unedited transcripts of future presidential candidates' interviews. People involved in the settlement talks have referred to this case as the Trump rule, or refer to this as a Trump rule. He loves that. AOC in the margins. I know. Here, I'll scroll down. There you go. Fixed it. In October, President Trump sued CBS for nearly $10 billion, now increased to $20 billion for deceptively editing the 60 Minutes interview. President Trump brings the action to redress the immense harm caused to him in his campaign and to tens of millions of citizens in Texas and across America by CBS's deceptive broadcasting conduct, the lawsuit stated. Fake news. 60 Minutes was caught editing Kamala's answers to make her sound coherent and normal, but it still didn't work. In fact, it was so bad that 60 Minutes spliced her nonsensical answer and replaced it with a completely separate sentence, she said earlier in the interview, mixing and matching questions and answers. This isn't journalism, it's fraud. Here's the original 60 Minutes exchange. I won't read that. You guys, I think by now, here, we can just play this.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Actual answer.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen.
Oh, man, I bet you guys missed the word salad. Did you guys miss it as much as I did? No. But that's a Well You Forget Wednesday right there. Kamala Harris word salad. Bet you guys forgot, but you were trying to forget.
In the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
It's funny. They fixed it, and she still sounded stupid. Nice try. You didn't even make her look better. And now you got to pay Trump, the guy you hate, 8 figures, up to what is that? What, potentially 30 million. I love it. I wish they would have taken it to court. He would have gotten much more, and we would have got to see all the backlogs and communications and stuff. But I'll take this. The Democrats want to complain about Trump is selling Bitcoin or crypto, and he's selling Bibles with his name on it and stuff. And it's like, he doesn't need to do all that stuff to get rich. All he's got to do is just sue the Democrats for lying on him and fake news. You guys are helping him way more than he is. You canceled him off of X, and you canceled him off of or Twitter at the time. You canceled him off of Facebook. He had to start his own social media, and then he was able to sell out from the SPAC for I think he got $4 or $5 billion. Talk about an all-time backfire. I mean, gotta love it. You gotta love it. It's just so good. So good. Benny Johnson reacts here. Says, okay, he actually just reposted that same clip. I forgot that it was in the article. And then here's another one. This is a response from the Paramount CEO. This is funny. This is this guy's, it's just weird. Okay. So Paramount CEO claims the Trump legal settlement avoided reputational damage, but insiders cry BS, can spin it any way he wants. So this guy thinks that the settlement, avoided reputational damage, which it did. And it's funny that there's insiders that are crying BS and trying to blame him and saying that, he can spin it however he wants. But like I mentioned, if that would have gone to case, they would have been in much, much more trouble. Maybe not trouble, but they would have been responsible for a way higher dollar amount. And the show would probably be toast if we had access to those back channel communications. But I don't really even need to read the article. I think the headline pretty much says it all right there. I can't avoid AOC in the margins there, Tick. Sorry. He's always there. So, with that, I think that is pretty much everything. Besides the BBB, I'm going to cover that tomorrow, and I'll include any updates that come out this evening, tomorrow afternoon, any of that good stuff. I'd like to remind you guys to make sure you hit the like button. I'm sure you guys have, and I appreciate it, and thank you. Thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a fun time. And also, want to remind folks, I'm on America First TV, but I'm still building the Jar Openers podcast channel up. And if you haven't subscribed over there, that link is down in the description. So please do go share some support, show some support. Give that one a subscribe, because I do want to start doing more lives, and I want to start branching off, having more guests, and specialize the Jar Openers channel with the lives and things like that, and start building the Jar Openers network and stuff. But that's more of a long-term goal. See what I missed in chat. Also, if you haven't joined the Discord, we do have a Discord. The community's growing. Atlas has been putting in some work. There's been a lot of people coming in from his side. There's folks coming in from the Jar Openers podcast. So it's nice to see some growth. We've had a few folks on the show from the Discord. And if you're interested in something like that, definitely join the Discord, reach out, and we'll see what we can do. Make sure if you're over on Rumble that you hit that follow button. Trying to grow over there, other than people that are trying to sell me stuff. Seems like everybody that subscribes to the channel on Rumble is trying to get me to hire them to make my thumbnails or do whatever. But one man, well, with Atlas, we're a 2-man crew, but we're each working independently on our own channels too. So check out Atlas Thugged. Before we go, I want to look into what we got from the UVerse Bible app. As far as what the verse of the day is, that is Psalms 34:8. Taste and see what the Lord, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. So, always a good verse. Anytime out of Psalms, seems like they're always pretty good. So, appreciate that. And just a short prayer before we go. Lord, I want to thank you for the successful surgery for Atlas's daughter. We are grateful, and we continue to pray for miraculous healing as she has follow-ups to come. And we hope that we pray and ask that everything goes well with them. I want to pray for everybody in the chat, whatever they have going on in their life, that you would be with them. And most of all, we want to thank you for sending Jesus Christ to die on the cross for us. Without him, we would have no hope as humankind or people on this planet. So with that, in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Christ is King. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and hope you guys have a good night.
With war rolling at the start, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas up, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street, keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas up, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas up, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast, where the lies will decrease.